Welcome to Plat Chat Overwatch 244. We just kind of pressed the button, but I wasn't ready to go live, Solomon, because I had something I needed to tell you. But it's all good. Well, we'll treat it as is. So yeah, we're live here. We got Stockholm coming up in about a week's time. But I don't think we're going to talk about Stockholm this time around. So if you're looking forward to the Stockholm preview podcast, I think we'll be posting that next week. But me, Avril, I've asked Jaws, we're here. What are you? What are you whatting about?
When are we recording that?
We should record it this weekend.
Aren't you guys
This
like going
weekend?
somewhere?
What?
Oh, you want to do it this weekend?
Yeah, we should probably record it like tomorrow
Okay,
or this
we'll
weekend
have
or
to.
something.
Yeah, you'll have to coordinate this because I also have.
to
I have
coordinate
I have
this,
stuff
'cause
on
I also-
Saturday.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry, you got a busy schedule. Okay, do you have someone I can reach out to, like your agent or something?
No, I'm saying Saturday. I have a dinner. I have a dinner Saturday.
Oh, okay.
So I'm just saying Saturday might be off the
He's
table.
doing stuff, guys.
I am still doing stuff. I'm fucking working out here, brother. Okay, it's cooked. It's cooked. The whole world's cooked right now. Okay, everything. We're done.
true.
We're done. Stick a fork in it.
Do you want to talk about it, Avas? Do you want to talk about it?
No, there's nothing to talk about. I'm just
No?
saying, like,
he'll go too deep. No, we can't.
I'll go.
We
We'll
can't.
go too deep. I'll just say that it's rough out here. If you have hope, like maybe bring down the margins a little bit. Like maybe just bring down your expectations a little bit. Not saying it's hopeless. Just saying expect a little less.
If you have hope, have less hope.
Have
less
less
hope than you
hope.
currently have. Yeah.
And this could apply to a
your hope is.
variety of topics. I'm not putting this to any topic in particular. Just have a little bit less hope. But also, if you have less hope, you'll be less disappointed. You'll be less disappointed too. So
I had a day
that.
yesterday. I'll say I had a day yesterday. I was like, okay, I got some chores to take care of, and then I'm gonna go stream for a few hours, and then I was gonna do some Stockholm prep as well. And I went through about half my day, and then I was like, I just gotta go touch some grass.
Dude, that was me today. That was me today.
So
they blocked in my car at my
Respectable.
parking garage.
Respectable.
I was like, I need to get some fresh air, some sunshine, and just touch grass. Because right now
help?
it's needed. So
Awesome.
yeah.
I was expecting you to like segue that into a sponsor, but I guess,
Yeah, so this is going to be...
that
I don't know what
sounded like
this
a
segment would
segue.
be. I don't think we're allowed to talk about mental
Let
health
me tell you,
anymore,
Jaws. Let me
but-
tell you, Jaws.
we're sponsored by John Deere. John Deere
Tractors.
That would be
Touching
so
grass.
John Deere
Touching grass.
tractors.
We're now mowing the lawn, baby.
That would be so sick. If anyone needs to get their lawn mowed, please reach out to me. Anyway, we don't have a sponsor this week. Sorry, Jaws. So there's nothing to.
John Deere,
Hey,
everyone.
don't
John
even
Deere
promotion.
Corporation does not need free advertising from us.
Yeah,
Put that
it
away.
does
Put
not.
that away.
It does not.
Okay, the farmers are fighting for the right to repair their
Right to
piece of shit
repair.
tractors. However, if they pay us, those are not piece of shit tractors. Those are amazing tractors. So, John Deere, just let us know. Just let us know. Touching grass does help though, Johnny. I got blocked in today because of my construction, so I had to walk around to go get groceries, and I was like walking around for like an hour, and I was like, "Holy, this is amazing! What an amazing life I'm living!" Except for the fact that there's no hope. and I'm unemployed, but-
You're saying you walked around like it's a rarity, like you don't get to walk around.
Well,
much.
I mean, I walk around, but like, I don't ever like spend like, I don't typically just unprompted spend an hour walking outside. Like I'll do like
Okay.
maybe 20,
We live in LA,
30
so
minutes.
we can't
you
really
know?
do that.
Well, where I live, I can do it.
Oh, okay.
But like, it just depends on where you're at. But also I'm like, oh yeah, this is why I pay so much in rent.
Chat, quickly
be
find
here.
the one place that's walkable in LA. Quickly, dox him.
Everyone find
He's
them.
talked to
Everyone
himself.
find the spot. Find the spot.
Everybody find the
Also,
spot.
why do
One
I
walkable
look
place.
so much shorter? I feel like I'm sitting, like everyone's so much taller.
Put
than
your
the
camera down.
I
Just laying
don't
back.
like-
You're
there
just,
we go.
you're just
I'm lame. I'm just so relaxed. Like this.
doing one of these ones down here.
Everyone was hype mocking me.
I can't. My fucking shoulders hurt.
this podcast is off to a tremendous start.
Well, I'm
People
passing it
are
off.
so
there we go.
excited to be here and to listen to us.
Walking around. is great.
Yeah. Anyway, there's nothing going on in the world. Nothing has happened. So there's
Nothing
nothing to
has
talk about.
happened.
So
Nothing has happened.
I think we just should get straight into the Overwatch then, because
true.
something.
Whoa!
Get this
Abort!
This is
Well,
Get out of here.
Well, I don't
Whoa.
know if we can do that.
Well, anyway, to start us off with, so Torbjorn.
Anyway, there's only
does
like
Hydro
5
mean?
Americans.
Never mind.
Anyway, there's
No, Torbjorn,
It's
why?
off the
I mean, he does
screen.
have
Why
like
would
5 kids. He could be pro-life. I don't know.
Oh my,
On Tuesday,
oh my god.
Overwatch released Overwatch
We're
Classic.
fired, all of us.
A new way to experience, or an old way to experience Overwatch. Some classic heroes. There we go. Old skill set, old patch, broken Rotok hook. No hero limits. Seems to be a bit of a trend in the gaming space. I mean, I'm not really clued into any other titles, but it seems like Apex is doing it. I think Fortnite announced they're doing this.
It's
and
like
now Overwatch is
every
doing
game
it.
now is doing it. It's crazy, actually. It's kind of
Yeah.
cool, but can I start this off real quick?
He's already going. I don't even think Johnny finished the intro, and
Oh,
Jack's
sorry,
already
carry on the
go.
intro. Carry on. You just rev me up like a fucking John Deere tractor. John Deere tractor, everybody.
You don't. They're not push. They're not pull. What are you saying? They're not pull
lawnmowers.
motors.
You like ripping the cord.
Bro has never been
John
on
Deere
a
is
farm.
are tractors. They're
Yeah, you can rip the cord on a tractor or lawnmower.
what?
Tractor and a
Have you-
lawnmower are not the same thing.
They
They're
sell
not the same
lawnmowers
thing, by
too,
the way.
right?
I mean, but it's not the tractor and a lawnmower. are two
Whatever.
very distinct.
Whatever. I tried to do a callback. It didn't work. Fuck you guys.
Yeah,
Hey man,
contraption.
John
on,
Deere
Johnny.
tractors are cool though. I gotta say, I like
No,
the
they're
green
not
as
until
well.
they
They're
sponsor
cool.
the podcast. Right to repair.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, so all right, we need to start talking about the Overwatch. Avril, what is your favorite classic Overwatch ability?
Scatter arrow. Wait, when you say favorite, we're
That's
being
an epic
ironic,
question.
right?
Why
Being
is that your
extremely
favorite?
ironic?
Why? Oh, okay. Fair
Are we
enough.
that
making
being
a
ironic?
tier list? We have nothing on the script, guys. We're just here. We're just here
What?
to show up
What
on
do
a
you mean
weekly.
nothing on the script?
Okay, we actually have a few things, yeah, but it's not thorough. So I mean, I'm improvising here. We should have made like a tier
ass.
list of old Overwatch classic abilities and like rank them.
Well, I mean, let's go through some of the abilities, right? So
Sure.
scatter arrow, of course, interdimensional hog hook,
Yeah.
mercy res,
Here's Super participating on the show
Torbjorn
match.
armor packs. and
Torbjorn
level
armor
3
pack,
turret.
Symmetra, her
Symmetra.
ult being a teleporter, her
Yeah.
and she had the photon barrier.
And she
Reaper
had
orbs?
the like shield packs.
Reaper
You could
orbs,
pack
that's right.
people.
Yeah, Reaper orbs is definitely up there.
Reaper orbs.
Um,
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of.
Who's
I
this
mean, there's
playing?
also
There's a
also
Symmetra turret you can
Cast
put on
Fan
the
the Hammer.
ball. Have you seen that?
Old Cast Fan the
Old
Hammer
Flash
plus
Fan the Hammer,
flashbang. Yeah,
Flash Fan the Hammer.
plus those.
Defense matrix not on a charge, but it's an
Oh,
ability.
and
you
Diva
press.
Bomb
ability.
kills her. And
Yeah,
Diva Bomb
yeah.
kills her. Oh, brother. Genji still has Ledge Dash.
Yes,
He's got
so
that.
it's like-
Oh,
Oh,
hell yeah.
Bastion is a turret.
Oh, yeah,
He's
Bastion
just
being a
he's
stationary
wheels mode.
turret.
And then
And
he's
tank.
a tank.
Yeah, and he got the tank. I
Honestly,
think
the
that's like-
wheels mode I missed. The wheels mode is awesome. Or not the wheels mode. I mean the tank mode. The tank mode is awesome.
Tank mode.
Yeah,
I
I think
low
that's
key
that's
missed
fun.
tank mode.
This okay. I will say I've played a fair bit of Classic. My God, like Widow is fucking OP. Every tank fucking
Dude.
sucks. And like
No, every
this-
support sucks too.
Every
All the
support-
supports are
all
so
the
bad.
Soldier also kind of blows because of the bloom. If you are just kind of good at Widowmaker, you just farm because the tanks blow up in half a second because Discord Orb is insane. Mercy's like the best healer because she can actually heal because no other support can fucking heal. I will say
There's
it,
no Ana.
this
There's no
mode-
Ana either. Like, there's
Yeah,
nothing.
because she's DLC technically. This mode, it's fun to relive this kind of early memory, but this version of Overwatch fucking sucks.
Well,
It
buddy,
is
I became
not good.
the Twitter main character for saying that. So
Yeah,
I became
you really
Overwatch
did.
Twitter
I
main
did see the
character for
tweet.
saying that one. The people were not happy.
Bonnie also had a good tweet actually. I don't know if we if you guys saw Bonnie's tweet. She was saying that they put this in the game and it reminds everybody how good Overwatch we have it now versus like how
That's the
dog it was
conspiracy.
back
That's the
then.
conspiracy
Yeah.
is they did that to make them.
Which
make them
that
think.
conspiracy is kind of unfounded because they're going through different cycles of Overwatch.
Yes.
But
Yes. yeah.
like at the same time, I would kind of believe it if they went, okay, we're gonna do this version of Overwatch, then we're gonna do goats, and then we're gonna do double shield, and then it would be like, okay, the conspiracy is true. The 3 worst times in Overwatch history. Although I did kind of like goats, so I'm kind of looking forward to that.
Well, they do have to
it-
land.
it's-
They do have to finish with like the final version of Overwatch 1 before it went to Overwatch 2. Because for
Which
a lot of
was
people,
the content drought and then double shield.
yeah. But
Yeah.
but at the same time, there's a decent amount of people that would say that that was like probably the definitive version of Overwatch 1
yeah.
because it was a version of Overwatch 1 that got figured out and like people just accepted. It's like, okay, this is Overwatch now. We'll just play this game. You know, everyone just the hope was gone.
yeah,
You know,
the
looking
hope
at a
was
basket
gone.
when you
where did
when
the
you
Beyblade
eliminated
meta
all
fit
hope,
into that?
When
I
you
did see
eliminated
that.
all hope, you finish
see
at the
some
Overwatch 1 drought era.
I did see some insane comments like, if we had Overwatch 2 right now with an extra tank like 6v6, we would never have double shield. I'm like, I don't think you understand the importance of not dying ever. It's just, I saw some insane takes on with this.
I mean,
mode.
I think it's hard to judge though, right? Because you don't really, it's like fucking, it's like saying we're reducing waste by not funding science anymore with federal grants. It's like, well, they didn't produce anything. Listen. We don't know how it would have turned out. We don't know how it would have turned out, right? Like, yes, spending $1 million to watch Beatles fuck may not have yielded any sort of scientific results. But in return, in the Overwatch 2 situation, in Overwatch 1, they just weren't balancing the game. So we don't know what would have happened. Or with the Overwatch 2, if they had a second take, what would have happened? We don't know. We haven't seen the possibilities. We're not Doctor Strange. I don't think you can definitively say that Double Shield would have happened or not happened again in Overwatch 2 because we simply haven't tested it. There's so many permutations in game balance,
we will be able to test it when the mode comes out as a quick play hack or whatever. Also, I know we want to talk about Classic. I'm assuming, well, we'll probably
talk about whatever you want, Joss.
Okay, good.
This is your podcast too.
Okay,
let's talk about Classic.
Let's
talk about Classic.
I think that whole like the 6v6 like experimental mode or whatever. I don't know if you guys have seen this. Like, I don't watch too much Overwatch YouTube, but like, I consume YouTube at a pretty frequent rate. And some other like commentary YouTubers, like in passing, this is mentioned, like Overwatch, and with the whole like new book, the Jason Schreier book that came out, they were kind of talking about that. And it seems to me that a lot of like the general gaming audience thinks Overwatch 2 is just going back to 6v6. Like, this isn't an experiment. This is like, no, it's going back now because of the Jason Schreier book. That's kind of the takeaway people are getting from that, which is like, I'm like, oh my, if you
wait, fill me on this. From what I understand from the Jason Schreier book, wasn't the Jason Schreier book being like, hey, by the way, like this whole thing was fucked up and Bobby Kotick was like the archdemon? Like, what? I don't understand. Like, what?
Yeah, but like it talked a lot about the Overwatch League, and it also about how that was a massive failure and like all this other stuff, and obviously paint it in a very negative light. But the general gaming audience and like oh my god, like Bobby Kotick killed 6v6, like the Overwatch League killed 6v6, and like now we've moved on to 5v5. And like kind of putting that together and going, oh, okay, now they're finally returning to 6v6. Like, that is what people are in people's heads right now.
I have yet to see that sentiment personally.
I saw on a part of YouTube that I look at.
If you want to go to a part of the internet that has a lot of brain rot, so Reddit, then you'll see that sentiment. Like go to
it's like people think that it's coming back.
Go to PC gaming. Like it's great. I don't know. It shouldn't.
I see people wishing for it to come back. I see people.
General gamers just have no clue. Even surrounding the Overwatch 2 stuff, everything they know about Overwatch is based off mildly, not even half correct headlines. It's just bad headlines about like, oh yeah, this is happening in Overwatch now. It's like, not really. That's kind of not even half true. So yes, it doesn't surprise me that a bunch of them believe that this is like Overwatch full scale moving back to 6v6, and then they'll laugh about that, even though they will probably say that that's probably what should happen. It's like, what do you want?
I see people wanting it for sure. I've just never seen anyone thinking like, oh yeah, it's happening.
So I got some experience as well from friends who don't play Overwatch anymore, who hear it from their friends and like they play other games. So like they're an Apex squad, or I don't know, they play Fortnite, and they hear from a friend who heard about the 6 versus 6 blog. So this was the first time I heard it in this summer, actually. I had a friend actually like kind of talk about 6 versus 6 like it was coming back. So just like, I heard from a friend that like, I guess 6 versus 6 is coming back. I was like, well, how do you mean? And they were like, well, like, they're gonna change it back to 6 versus 6, right? And it's just because they hear, like, the second...
It's just a big game of telephone.
Yeah, it's a big game of telephone, and because they released a 6 versus 6 blog, they're like, oh, they're going back to 6 versus 6. And so it's not even necessarily people who are just on Reddit or, like a small circle. It's people who play other FPS shooters, like Apex or Call of Duty or whatever, or Destiny or whatever. They hear from a friend, and the rumor becomes, oh, 6 versus 6 is coming back. And so that's just, the game of telephone, like Josh is saying. So I also found that pretty interesting. I was just like, no, 6 versus 6 is not coming back. But I think that's interesting. Like, how did you reach that conclusion? Like,
so it's because no one actually consumes the blog. Like no one actually reads it. Like, half the fucking content creators don't even fucking read it, bro. It's like they see the headline, react to headline. There's the clip. It's going on YouTube. 17 million views on TikTok. Like, that's it, right? I think most people don't actually read the entire thing or actually absorb the content within the blog. It's more you take the clip or you take this out of context. And it's like, oh, now it just spreads like wildfire. Like it's crazy. But you know,
I thought it was
games are wild,
super
people
interesting when I
consume
first
media
heard that, because I was like, oh, this is not like an ignorant person, and they're not like being like rude, or they're just like misinformed. And I was like, how were you misinformed about 6 versus 6 coming back? Like, this is just genuinely interesting. Like, how did you reach the conclusion? So yeah, I've actually heard the same, Joss, that like there are genuinely people playing other shooters who think 6 versus 6 is coming back to Overwatch. Like ranked, like the default mode.
That's
So
I have not. I mean,
that's crazy.
Blizzard. If
Default,
Blizzard,
which
we
is
know
not.
you don't watch this podcast, but if you do, you need to establish a department of info security of D. You need to start. You need to start a program or a department of like OPSEC, where you're going to be working on deprogramming the radicalized gamers around 66. I want some of the best propagandists of all time. I want them in there, in that department. We need to fix this culture war issue here. Because guess what? I'm going to say it. Gamers
He wants
with
to take it
opinions.
political so bad.
Gamers with opinions. No. I'm not going to. I'm simply saying gamers with opinions because I was like, because I'm going to bring my own experience of like, when we go back to the actual topic, which is 6v6.
Who is the Joe Rogan of
Overwatch
6 versus 6?
Do you want to start?
We can go down this road.
It was a joke. It was a joke. It was a joke. It was a joke.
Well, first of all, no one because no Overwatch content creator is that popular. So that's the first part. And then secondly,
so true.
and then secondly, because when I did my Twitter main character moment, I was like, hey, like, this is going to be a fun mode. I literally said, what a fun little gimmick mode the Overwatch Classic is. But I'm surprised so many people are romanticizing 2016 Overwatch. You guys remember when your tank would get flashbanged, then fan the hammered, and die from full HP? Do you guys remember that one? And everyone was like, you're so fucking stupid. The game's a man. This is a minority. This is a minority, not obviously a majority of people. But there are a legitimate amount of people that want to do like the Deus Volt, like crazy shit, but for Overwatch. And it's like, we must return to tradition, reject modernity. And I'm like, modernity rules, man. We got like electricity. We have running water here. Like, we don't have people getting statter arrowed by Hanzo across the map randomly, or a Roadhog interdimensionally hooking you through all 4 planes. Like, the game was not good. The game was good in the fact that it was very novel. It was like, people loved Overwatch because it was so novel, right? It did it better than all the other things that came out at the same time. And that it was really well optimized. It was like a fantastic, cohesive product. But the actual game itself was a nightmare because it was half the dev team truly believed that humanity would work together and work in their ranked games
And not go 6 roadhogs.
Legit, I think half of Team 4, like, legitimately, like, they are obviously great developers, and I think we've talked a lot about how, like, it came together kind of miraculously, even though, like, they really wanted an MMO, not a PvP shooter. But it came together because, like, they were all very talented, a bunch of developers. But I legitimately think large of the original parts of Team 4, they were drinking their own damn Kool-Aid, and they legitimately believed that people were going to work together in a ranked environment. They thought we could be better than we were, and we couldn't.
Well,
Humanity could not be better than that, and that's why the partial of the game was so ass, because they truly believed that people were going to work together. The comps are going to work. Like, everyone's going to be, okay, I'm going to go this support to help our team here. Okay, let's go this tank. Except it's filled with fucking Fui 500 playing Torbjorn, like, for 100% of all your games.
What's really funny about that statement, actually, is that I kind of see why they thought that. Because if you're going into an MMO
I don't.
and, like...
I don't.
Okay, so let me explain. So you're playing WoW, right? And you load in and you load into a dungeon, you have assigned roles, and it's like, okay, oh, and you're in a raid. Like, oh, we're the DPS, we're the healers, we're the tanks. Like, that's where I can imagine that team play, team coordination.
Oh, didn't they literally have
from.
Dungeon Builder? Like, they had role queue in WoW?
Yeah.
You ever watch
But they did have that Overwatch on release, is what I'm saying. They drank the Kool-Aid.
Can you see where they were kind of like sort of coming from? It's like, oh, the team play aspect. Everybody's going to try and work together to try and win the game. When actually in World of Warcraft and MMOs, it's like, okay, I'm this class, so I have to play this way. I'm this class, I have to play this way. So it's like a role queue kind of situation. I kind of get it.
guys like,
but obviously, it's ridiculous. A ridiculous notion to think that 6 players logging in aren't all going to pick fucking Torbjorn and then just run it down.
You see these videos like sometimes for other games. I haven't seen these for Overwatch, but you see them sometimes in other games, of these marketing videos and like gameplay teasers where it's very clear that it's just like it's a fake thing where they got it looks like a bunch of random people connecting together. It's like, oh, this is what the game's like. You know, people connect together and play the game.
We need
and it's
healer,
it's very utopic. No one's saying any slurs. No one's abusing each other. No one's like the typical gamer. And it's so perfect. Everyone's like, oh, this laughing and smiling, working together in harmony. And that's like the pure dev vision. It's like, oh, this is how the game's going to be, man. This is how random people are going to work together. You see that sometime in gameplay trailers where they do that. Like, it's like, and everyone who games, like, this is so fake. This is unbelievably fake. This is not how games work at all.
Which is also shocking because game devs themselves know how fucking toxic the video game community is. Like, they've had to develop, like, literally put their layers of personality like behind 3 layers of digital security, like fucking warding mage wards 3 layers up in front of them because of how like toxic the gaming community, and they still think people are gonna get together in the server and be like, they're gonna play our perfect like we're in Elysium, everyone here we are, we're in Elysium, gaming Elysium. It's like, what, like, where it's, and that was launch Overwatch. They truly believed that people and it was noble because I think in 2016 we could be that dumb still. We were allowed to be, to a degree. I think that was still allowed. I think if you're still doing that, Avril, at this point, if you're a game dev, be like, everyone's going to work together perfectly. I'm like, you were born in a test tube and you grew to human size in the past 3 days. Because that is simply like, we know better. We know better.
No one knew what Overwatch was the first year.
The game was novel. That was the thing. I think I would argue the game was novel, and it wasn't. We were like, oh, yo, yippee, video games. We're gonna do it all together, guys. No, because like League of Legends existed since 2010, and people have been flaming and trolling and fucking random people disco Nunu in fucking in the Baron pit since then. Like, I don't think, I think it's because the game was brand new and like, oh wow, this novel idea of like picking different classes and like, whoa, Lucio goes super fast, can't wall ride backwards, can't even wall ride dog shit.
Dude, his wall ride is
so bad.
It's
like
crazy how bad he is. Oh.
It's just because it was such a new fancy little thing that was like, and it was just obviously unbelievably popular as well. That's why. But as soon as Overwatch transitions between the years, it becomes more of a sold game, right? A solved game.
I know, guys. I know what happened. In 2016, this is what happened in 2016. The Zoomers finally got old enough to play video games. That's what happened, guys. That's what changed. That's what changed. Yeah, that's what changed.
I feel like
pre-2016 was Elysium. You know, us, the millennials, perfect gamers, no slurs, no toxicity. The Zoomers came in. It became LA in 2024. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, I don't think that's.
I don't think anyone had any idea what Overwatch was in 2016. Like the developers didn't know what they were developing. The players didn't know what they were doing. The reason you got good at the game was because you were figuring stuff out before other people, not because you were good at like developing like a skill set or anything. The developers were just like, hey, we're gonna release a hero we think is pretty fun. We think the hero is fun. We have no idea how it works like with other teammates or characters or like.
And
how
the hero's name is Sombra.
Design. Yes, could be Sombra, but we're just gonna release a hero we think is fun to play, and we'll see how it kind of like fits into the game. And so like now we know what Overwatch is. We know how it's played. We know, what makes characters good and bad. We had no idea in 2016 how any of that worked.
I fundamentally believe that if Sombra didn't exist in the game, the current Overwatch 2 devs would not implement a hero like Sombra into the game because they'd be like, hang on a minute.
Yeah, there's no
this
way.
might be bad for the game. And they wouldn't do it. I truly believe
learn. Humanity is riddled with mistakes that people learn from, right? And, history
well,
never
I
repeats.
actually don't think that's true. I don't think that's true. I don't think there's ever been any cyclically repeating mistakes ever in the history of the world.
History never rhymes. That's how it goes.
We live in Elysium. We live in Elysium.
We live in Elysium.
Why have you said Elysium like 6 times? I haven't heard
it's
this
a good
word in
movie.
like 3 years.
Elysium is like a mythological thing. It's like the.
It's also a good movie.
Yes, but like Elysium is like that's like where the vaunted heroes in Greek mythology live in the afterlife. That's like the cool spot to be.
I only know of Elysium because there used to be a classic WoW private server.
Oh,
that's the only reason I know the word. Yeah.
Elysium.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah,
Elysium,
And it was perfect, and everyone who played in the server was not toxic.
Yeah.
Everyone was
worked
not
together.
toxic. Everyone
Not
they
elitist.
had no roll lock because everyone would play the perfect amount of DPS tanks and supports.
Yeah, perfect WoW server.
There was no
Perfect.
Kiriko or Baptiste sending people into a rage. Grr, the support shot me.
Every Q time was instant. Every Q time you press the button, boom, in a game.
And
times were perfect.
and every support player, not only was their role dog shit, they were all bottoms that did nothing, and that's what we want in FPSs. We want support players that are bottoms,
So
that are
true.
just bottoms that do nothing the whole time. That's the ideal game environment. And tanks die to DPS.
Instantly.
And most
Like,
importantly,
instantly.
DPS kill everyone all the time and are the best role, which is the most important thing. in
I'm not
FPS
sure if
type.
there's MMR like. There's probably like a soft little bit of MMR in the quick play, fucking quick 6v6 or whatever. But yeah, you pick Widowmaker. If you have half good aim, you annihilate the entire team because everybody is super slow without Lucio Amp. Which, by the way, Lucio Amp, by the way, I forgot how much they changed that because you move up.
Do you remember double
light
speed Lucio? Double speed Lucio
Yeah,
literally in the
double
game looks like it's breaking when you're double speed.
It is
you're like,
light speed.
you go
It's
so
crazy.
fucking fast with double speed. I mean, Kefri literally made his whole career off of 2016 Widow. That's how powerful Widow was.
because it was easy as fuck to use, and Widowmaker
That's
was
how
like
powerful
unkillable.
Widowmaker was.
'cause she
Kefir is
she
still
had
going
no
on
range.
at this day.
Yeah, but like, I think he got
He's
you know,
trying in ranked. He's trying.
Widowmaker 2016 Widowmaker was essentially his version of the Emerald Mine. You know, he got his father's Emerald Mine, and like that's how he kind of built his notoriety off of that. So like, I think that like the game though was fun. It just was inherently imbalanced beyond all belief,
Yeah.
and I still think there's a lot of nostalgia based around it, and I think
It's a
that's been
fun
corrected.
gimmick mode.
I think it's
I
been
like
corrected.
it.
I think it's been corrected. A lot of people were like, "Oh my god, the game is kind of ass."
Yeah.
Like it's like, wait, this shit ass. But then they realized like it is, but it was innovative though. It was an extremely innovative
Right.
title. No one's gonna come out the gate with a perfectly solved multiplayer experience, and so I think for like the ingenuity of it was amazing. But like realistically, it was the worst version of the game to ever exist, essentially, because of how
I mean,
insanely
it didn't
imbalanced
help.
it
The
was.
scope for the project was an MMO. Like,
did not help.
initially it's an MMO. We'll just throw it. Oh, okay, now this is a thing. And like you said, Johnny, it's kind of like we didn't know what we had, and it just kind of exploded.
I'm gonna say this to defend the 6v6 group a little bit. I don't belong to them, but I will just defend their angle a little bit because what I'll say is like this is not the definitive version of 6v6. This is definitely not
No,
what they're
for sure.
asking for.
That's not what I'm arguing for either. Yeah.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just gonna say for their sake because I know they'll have an angle, which is this is not the version of Overwatch that they want, which is fair enough. Again, I think the version of Overwatch they want is like if Overwatch 2 was 6v6 right now, basically. So I don't know if we're gonna get that level of test. So we're gonna get a test.
Well, we will because
where it's
it's
basically-
They're going through all the metas, right? So
we're going
No,
through
but
all
are
the
we-
metas, and then
but are we
we
gonna
have
get
the
Overwatch 2
66
6v6?
experiment. Yeah, we're going to
Yeah.
get that experiment, right?
Yeah.
That they-
As a,
that
like
they
full
talked
like
about.
Season
full
4
Overwatch
2 to 2,
2.
yeah.
Yeah.
2
As
to
a
2
mode.
with balance changes. Yeah.
Yeah, with balance changes. Yeah, as a mode.
Yep.
Which will be
here's-
fun.
here's-
That'll be interesting.
Here's the problem: is like if we go down that pathway, and hypothetically, if it's popular enough, because the devs did say if 6v6 is popular enough in terms of like people actually wanting to queue for it and all that kind of stuff, I might think about making it a regular thing, or maybe they just said it about Overwatch Classic. I might be mixing things up, but the point is, if 6v6 becomes a regular thing, to me, it starts to become problematic in terms of like dev input and dev time, because now you're actually balancing two different games. Like you have to balance 6v6 and 5v5
They
separately.
will shift. There's no way they keep if they truly went 6v6, there's no way 5v5 exists out of quick play outside of custom games. Sorry, because splitting the time as it is right
be
now
really
with
bad.
the dev team is like unbelievable. Like
Yeah,
let
but what
alone
if
balancing
50-50?
for two
What if
All
cards.
right,
what if
all right,
what if
wait,
the interest
wait.
is 50-50?
Okay.
Wait, I'm gonna pause you guys right there. I'm gonna pause you guys right there because Spilo did an interview with Alec Dawson and Aaron Keller on Tuesday, and it's a great interview. I recommend you go check out the video. But there is a Q&A on the competitive Overwatch subreddit, so there's a link. So I wanted the doc. You can go ahead and bring it up. And they actually talk about this. So some bullet points from that Q&A summary. Still, you guys should go check it out. They're not open to removing 5 versus 5 right now. Depending on popularity and retention, future could be 1, another queue with a ranked version. This is the test is really popular. 2, a limited time event that returns often like Classic. 3, a limited time event that returns rarely like April Fools, possibly once a year. 4, nothing if it's very unpopular, but they don't expect this. Worried about player fragmentation, might remove some other queues if 6 versus 6 returns as a permanent queue. Eric Dawson uses open queue as an example queue that could be cut, but Aaron Keller says it's the 3rd most popular mode, and they're not talking about that right now. And then they go into like depth about the different tests and also like what success looks like and balance and everything going into all these tests coming up. So if you want to know more about this whole conversation, I recommend you go check out the interview. But that's kind of like where the devs stand as of right now.
Let me comment then, because this is what I'm talking about. Where like if 6v6 becomes if it's the number one option and they do add 6v6 in as some sort of permanent mode alongside 5v5, which they're not going to take away, then you essentially have two versions of Overwatch where you have to balance them separately. And if we assume both are popular, like if it's a 50-50 thing where half the player base hypothetically wants to play 5v5, the other half wants to play 6v6, how do you balance the game? Because you cannot balance them the same way around. And I'm not even just talking about tanks now. DPS and supports will be, they'll be different. They'll have the difference in power depending on the 5v5 and 6v6 scenario as well. Some will be better in an environment where there's an extra play, and some will be worse, and etc. And if you balance, you can't do single balance for both, because one might be better in 5v5 and worse 6v6, and so it'll get really messed up. It'll be like double the amount of balancing work.
Well,
and
they'll
people
just
already
let it go the
complain
way
about
of open queue.
people already. But the
They'll
thing
just
is,
let it go,
open queues treated as a meme right now as far as balance. Like, okay, we'll just remove some health on tanks and whatever. But you can't do that in 5v5 and 6v6 because those are treated as like serious modes, and the player base treats it like a serious mode. No one in the real player base cares about open queue. No one complains like, oh man, they need to balance open queue properly. Like, you never see that, even from casual players. But people will complain if 6v6 or 5v5 aren't balanced properly, and people already do enough complain about balance as it is. If there's double the balancing work, I just can't see it going down a good direction. That just sounds like a disaster to me.
I think it depends on, you're looking at it pretty linearly, because first of all, number one, as they've laid out in their scenarios there's essentially maybe a less than 5% chance this, because they said they're looking at things like, one of the biggest things obviously is like, because this is very big in gamer discourse. Gamer discourse is filled with morons. So one of the biggest thing is that, like, look at the player count. Like, whoa. But what's more important than player count for a live service game? Retention. Retention is how many players continue to play the game past that peak. Like how many are like how consistently are getting it. And obviously player count is like sort of part of that, but like, when everyone posts like the Steam graphs, like, whoa, newest fucking game with this player count. Oh, this game came out with this player count. It's like, okay, but what's the retention post like many weeks? Like week to week, what's the data? And they're very obviously recognizing that like there's probably a lot of people clamoring for this, and there'll probably be a blip. And after about 4 weeks, it'll drop from like, this huge spike to like here, essentially, people actually playing it, more than likely. People will make a lot of noise, they'll like it, but the reality is there's, they won't play it long term. And if they do, it would be a shock. I think they wouldn't be, but like, it's probably not going to happen anyways.
I would be very surprised.
I would be very surprised, yeah. And
I'm just running a hypothetical. I'm running
And
hypothetical.
hypothetically, if it were, I think also that's a good thing, because inherently then you theoretically, if you that would imply there's an increase in players typically as well, because you would have a 5v5 demographic that's attracting the 5v5, and you also have the 6v6 demographic, which attracts people like 6v6 plus a lot of old players. So that would inherently, since you have more players, mean more revenue, and thus you could theoretically expand the balance team.
My hypothetical is
unless
just
you're saying it
just
splits. So
no,
I'm just balkanizes the. It just balkanizes
that's not what I think will happen. I'm just running a hypothetical here, because I'm also running it from the perspective of like, what are the actual like purist 6v6 people want? And they would want a game where like you actually just get to play a full Overwatch 2 6v6 that's balanced the way that they, is supported the way that 5v5 is. That's what they would want. So if you don't deliver that,
they also have two different tests for 6v6 as well, right? They've got the 222 and
Limit
the
3?
minimum 1,
Min 1, max
3. Yes, the min 1, max 3 test as well. So I personally think that min 1, max 3 test is just going to go to absolute shit. I think the more small guardrails that you put on, like team composition, the better it is for the game in the long run. Because
yes, we have learned this.
Yeah, exactly. We have learned this because you intake so much more information. Like, what if 3 DPS is too strong? We have to buff supports. Now we have 3 supports. Now there's just so many more variables to kind of wrangle with when it comes to balance. I would say if we do end up seeing the 6v6 actually come into the game and as maybe like a one-off like the classic Overwatch, it will definitely just be 222. I think the min 1, max 3 is a little crazy, and I am very curious to see, and off of your point, Connor, what you're saying about retention, that is definitely going to be their number one thing that they look at within the game when it comes to this test with queue times for DPS. Because holy mother of God, I got a really good feeling it's just going to return to like Overwatch of old, where initially it's not going to be as bad because you are a brand new test, so everybody's going to be trying everything. Okay, I want to play tank, I want to play support, I want to play DPS, this thing. But like after a couple of weeks, that is gonna the queue times for the DPS is just gonna go back to pre-Overwatch 2, where the DPS are waiting in 20-minute queues, especially in high SR, where you are basically not even playing the game. You get one game in an hour, which is absurd for Overwatch. Obviously, I think my stance is pretty obvious.
Which is probably why they're 3-1-2, because they're expecting DPS to be the most popular, even though here's the funny thing is like DPS will be the most popular when people just queue in the game. But if you actually want to win the game, you should play 3 tanks. So it'll be a weird situation where like every team that actually not, I don't even think in theory, I just think tanks
depends how the balance
like
is, to be fair.
Yeah, unless they like absolutely dumps the tank and balancing for like 3-1-2, then
There's
tanks should be the
in
strongest
original
because they stack
Overwatch that people wanted to play 3 tanks, you know.
Yeah, because the tanks, when they stack together, their abilities just like they stack exponentially hard together in terms of how strong the abilities for damage mitigation work for each other. But yeah, the point being here is it'll be a weird scenario where the comps with the highest win rate will be 3 tanks, but the most popular comps as far as queue times, as far as queues goes, will be 3 tanks.
Heroes queue time. So
There it is.
the orange bar to the left is Overwatch 6 versus 6 post-roll queue. So a damage player would wait an average 7.6 minutes for a game, whereas in Overwatch 2, a damage player would wait 2.9 minutes. And you can see it's pretty evenly distributed, but that 7.6 minutes in 6 versus 6 is the big outlier, and 5 versus 5 really helped the damage player queue times.
SR. And what I find is going to be quite funny. I think I want to see, if this does end up happening, I want to see the content creator response, especially from like the bigger streamers that play DPS, because we're going to go back to a time where they are sitting in queue for the majority of the time, therefore making the content kind of shit. Ideally, you're not
support players still do this. Like the top director is just Frogger and Aspen. They're just playing like different games in support queue.
Right. Yeah. Even now,
it would be even worse
and
in 6 versus 6.
It'll be even worse, and that's the big problem. I mean, I'm not like high SR or anything at all. I'm not GM right now at all, and my queue times for support are still a little bad. Like getting to the point where I'm like, okay, maybe I'll boot up RuneScape, maybe I'll boot up something else. Especially non-peak times, which is the majority of the time which I play, which is a majority of the time which the streamers play as well. Another small, I know I'm kind of like derailing the like queue time topic real quick, but another small thing that I did see actually from a lot of the 6v6 people, or at least the classic Overwatch people, was like, oh, finally, we're going back to a point where people die. And I found that really funny because everybody's dying on the server except for DPS. And you look at the 6v6 as well, and that kind of narrative where like, oh, people don't die in Overwatch nowadays. It's more like a sustain fest, which I think is a little bit of a lie, like especially with the healing nerfs and like, you know, the DPS passive triggering on people so you don't get healed as much. We got to a point in Overwatch 1 where double shield and like just not dying was the thing, and no one ever died for like 10 minutes. Like I found that quite funny.
Which obviously, people aren't arguing. I think people, to be fair, that's what Kevin, whatever was saying earlier, is that like people ideally were referencing a time where there was not like 800 barriers blocking all the damage
exactly,
in 6v6.
Yeah. I just thought that I just wanted to bring that up, very like small thing, just because that was another viewpoint that I did see, was like, oh, thank God people actually die now, where they're in 5v5 apparently no one dies, which I think is kind of bullshit. I just thought that was a very disingenuous way to look at the game. But yeah, anyway, queue times are going to be fucked after 2 weeks.
Yeah, there's some bullet points in that Reddit post as well with the developers where they talk about 6v6 and 5v5, and it kind of echoes what I believe the 6v6 experience is going to end up being, which I personally think is a less fun version where damage and support players, they just have to stick together more. They have less room to operate because flanks are going to be shut down by like a second tank, so you have less freedom to go for engaging flanky plays and stuff like that, and you're just going to like pretty much 6-man more or go on like a flank with your off tank or something like that. But the game will feel way more like clumped up. There'll be way less space around the match, and there'll be way less opportunity for you to like flank around and make individual plays. And I personally, that is why I'm hesitant to 6v6 and why I think it won't be as fun as people remember it to be.
That's how it
two
was.
players. By the way, adding 2 players to some of these maps, like especially the most recent Overwatch 2 maps, like they're not even designed for 6v6 in the first place. Yeah. Like playing Push, playing Clash with 2 more players on the map. Like, dude, it's going to be so narrow. It's going to be so claustrophobic to add 2 more players in the mix there. So if you want like 6v6, the best experience you're probably going to get are like on the largest maps possible,
the OG
where people are
maps.
more spread out. The
Just
OG
like
maps, yeah,
Kings
totally.
maybe, but even Kings is like, even like playing that in the Classic, it's like, my God, there's a lot of people on the server. Like, it's kind of funny when we transitioned, and I don't know, were you, Johnny, did you play some of the tests? I think because we did it with Bren and Josh, and we played 5v5, and it was like on a Hanamura, and we were like, man, the map feels so empty, what the fuck? And now I play...
Oh, like 3-4 years ago? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. We played like the custom games where like people made the codes, and it was like you can only, and everything was like a little bit quicker, and it was a little bit more damage and stuff like that. But you played 5v5 in Overwatch 1, and it was like, man, the maps feel so empty. But like playing Classic now, I'm like, oh my God, there are so many people. And the issue I think as well is, especially with the hero roster that we have now, how cluttered and like visually unappealing it's going to be to play the game. Especially with the amount of effects on the screen, and every hero's kind of added these new, like, okay, do you know Ultimate's a little bit insane still? Like how ridiculous it is, the giant pillar of light. Imagine that plus 2 tanks, and bro, it is just going to be a mess, which maybe that's what people want, to be fair. But I think as a esports perspective, a viewer perspective as well in esports, pretty fucking shit. Because you can't tell what's going on.
I think personally it's like kind of, I mean, like, I don't know. It's so hard because I think
it's hard to tell, to be fair.
We're stuck debating in circles because like a lot of these things, like objectively from a game design perspective and from a esport perspective and from like a balance perspective, 5v5 is easier. It's just objectively true. You can't argue against it. You can't say it's literally just easier. But like, obviously, everyone's real argument is like, well, we don't know what could have been because they essentially killed the game for like 2 years. They stopped doing updates because they were trying to build Overwatch 2 because Jeff Kaplan was like, I'm going to make my masterpiece and I'm going to do this. And there was all these like logistics that came into effect because of that weren't all necessarily Jeff Kaplan's fault by any means. But like, it just kept like, you know, stumbling. And it's like, and so we don't know where it would have progressed from that point. But it's always, I think to me, more so than just what kind of piggybacking on what Avril said. It's not even just about potentially balkanizing the dev team where we're going to have to do like, we're going to have like, oh, the 6v6 heads are once again in the streets getting ready to fight the 5v5 fanatics. Like, let's go. Let's all fucking, because like also imagine, I'm just even thinking like philosophy wise, just like imagine a universe where we have balkanized the game and instead of just annoying people on Twitter and like Reddit that like are, you know, they want it to like return to tradition. Now we actually have established a brand new cohort of people that also like 66 while 5v5 exists. So now it's like we have built 2 new games within a game when Overwatch already had the issue where it didn't know where it was because it had tanks and FPS. Like it was already like we've established the actual like multiple personality fucking Splice-esque video game. Like fucking we have entered into a philosophy where Overwatch the game is literally it's like it should be a serial killer because it has 8 different personalities if that were to occur at that point. Like it doesn't even know, like, so that's an issue. And then number 2 is an issue, just I feel bad from the dev side because it's like when you give some credence to this, it's like, well, from this point now it's like we've already thrown everything to 5v5. So then, like, do we go back
it's
to
like
66?
undoing their
it's
work
just,
almost?
It's just nightmarish, you know? It's just a nightmarish situation to even, like, think about.
I am curious if the feedback, no, not the feedback, sorry, but, like, the backlash and, like, this whole, like, 6v6 head rising up, I wonder if that wasn't as serious, or not serious, but, like, if there wasn't as many people going, we must have 6v6 back, it was the best version of the game, etc., etc., I wonder if they'd even run this test.
No, that's exactly why they're running it. But
I don't think they would run it.
They're doing it because they want more
to
players.
Appease the community. Exactly.
It's not even about like I think appeasing the community. It's just like if there's an opportunity for us to have old players come back, to have more 6v6 enjoyers come back, enjoy the game, they just want to maximize the amount of players, player count and retention, like I've said.
It just feels bad for them because it's like we have been forced into, whether maybe they wanted to do it, maybe they were actually, okay, maybe let's try this, maybe let's test this, but it feels bad, like literally forcing the dev team to go, okay, fuck, okay, well, let's run this test, let's do this, let's put a lot of time and effort into this experiment to then see if the community actually responds well to it and if it actually ends up keeping up player numbers. It just, from my perspective, outside the dev team, it feels pretty bad for them.
And also, it is still a product. It is still a product, though. Like, they should be trying, like, the goal of a business is to maximize, like, they want to maximize their revenue. They want to maximize their user base. Like, you could obviously argue that, like, maybe maximizing everything in reducing like other factors is obviously still a discussion, but like at the core tenet of it is like they want to try to get as many people playing as possible. So like I'm sure they'll live because they'll be like, well, new players are playing, we'll have revenue coming in, like we're not going to have any more vultures descend upon us and want to cut even more jobs, etc. So like I do think like it's not like insane, like some like I just know I'm just like, to me I look at it and I'm like,
Could have been spent doing something else.
It feels like Sisyphus pushing up the boulder. It feels like we're just Sisyphus pushing up the boulder, and like I think also we're essentially just reckoning with like a bunch of different
Isn't that
here.
a live service game though? A live service game is never going to be perfect. It's just always how
No,
do
but
we
it's not
improve, how
about
do we get more
it's not
players?
about it being perfect. It's about that we're just repeating the same history again. It's not about like this isn't them like trying something new. We're literally going back 9 years ago. Like we're literally going backwards in time. It's not even about like them trying something new. It's more so like, to me, I look at this and I think at the end you have to be like, hope perseveres. Even when we're dead, new life will go on. Maybe, unless the Earth's dead at this point. But like new life will go on. Like we've learned, like things will happen. But I look at 6v6 and I see the situation where it's like, well, there's the chance, very small, very unlikely, but chance that it's like, oh yeah, actually, you know what? They were right. If they just kept balancing the game, we could have stayed on 6v6 forever. And I'm like, then what was the point of any of this, right? And we've already had this thing, but it's literally just an existential dread moment of like, oh my God, this was all so fucking pointless. And then I reflect, what was the point of anyone's life? Why do we do this? It's just the same shit over and over and over again. And then we're dead. And so, I mean, it's just more so the futility of
I feel like
existence.
you're a bit existential of us.
Well, hang on,
It's
the
just,
point-
it's
No,
just,
that was
it's
good.
just a
I
6 v
agree
6
with him.
test.
I agree with him.
It's
Hang on,
not
let me-
just a 6v6
let me
test.
wait,
Because
let me
they-
wait.
yeah,
Just
sorry,
been-
I can't-
it would have been a
yeah,
waste of
whatever.
time, bro.
I'm gonna go rage piss.
For
Let Avril
what?
talk. Go let
For
Avril
what? They're trying to implement fun, engaging game modes. So like it would have been
I
this
get it.
or like
Hold
highest
on,
hang on.
Is what's the point of 5v5 even existing if we go back to 6v6?
Point
And this
is
test now
to fix the
is
queue
that
times. That was the point. The whole
Sure,
time, the
yeah.
number one priority was to fix queue times.
And then we're going
'Cause
back to it.
Yeah, look
back
at this
to it.
thing again. That's what it's meant to fix.
Dude, it's
the
not
problem-
happening.
The problem has always been, it's
probably
like,
not
how do you
happening,
fix this? And you got to fix it by reducing a tank. That was a primary reason. It doesn't take a G. There's no conspiracy theory. I don't know. Some of these 6v6s have conspiracy theories about why we did this. Oh, they did this just to force a change.
Overwatch
Because
League, bro.
Overwatch 2 is
That's
like,
what
no.
a lot of fucking believe,
They
bro.
did this because they thought it would genuinely improve the game. I think it did genuinely improve the game in various ways. It started some new problems, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. And I also think the fact that they're doing this test, I don't mind it. I don't dislike it. I think it's a worthy test to do because it'll prove a point. It'll either prove that 6v6 actually was superior, in which case maybe that's the truth, or it'll prove that they were wrong. The 6v6s were wrong, and it's actually not superior. And I'm not even talking about like player base in terms of how much interest, although that's very important as well. The amount of interest could just be really low. So even if it is a good game mode, if the interest is low, that's also not a good thing. So there's a couple things here that will really be able to answer a question that I think is a genuine question of which version of the game is actually the better version of the game. And no, it's not just about rolling it back to Overwatch 1 6v6. It's about seeing what Overwatch 2 in 6v6 would be like right now. I'm just not optimistic about it fixing tank queue times.
Yeah,
that'll
no,
happen.
I don't
mean
think queue
DPS?
times are ever going to be fixed unless they like modify the roles to begin with in some way, like
That's why they have
off tank
3-1-2.
damage, whatever, something like that. Exactly, yeah.
The 6v6s will not be happy with 3-1-2, by the way, because they want a game that's with 2 tanks in it. Because 3-1-2 will be ass with 1 tank and 3 DPS. It'll just exacerbate the tank problems.
The tank
Yeah.
is
Like-
just going to sit there like a lemon. It's just,
The one
Well, the
tank
DPS
getting
run
shot
around
by
him,
an
bro.
extra DPS is going to get absolutely farmed.
And then also
Like,
you have
that's
2
not gonna be
supports
fun.
still versus 3 DPS, which is like even in a
Which
2v2
sucks.
scenario, your supports have to be like
So the-
at the high levels. You have to work to like stay alive.
So,
and like
so
with more DPS.
2-2-2 will be the only definitive version of 6v6.
Yeah.
But the problem will then be, how do you double the amount of tanks in every single lobby? Because tank is still right now, I don't have the stats based on that queue time graphic. Tank right now, even in Overwatch 2,
It's
is
still the
still
least
the
popular.
least
Still the
Yeah.
queued
fastest.
role.
I
Now,
still
it
get
is-
instant
the
queue
fastest.
times.
Now,
Yeah.
at least like supports and tanks have like decent parity, but when you consider that you have to fill up twice the amount of supports compared to tanks, that means that there's still way less tanks because tanks and supports have basically the same queue time, but there's half as many tanks required in a lobby.
Yeah,
Tank will always be, in any game, the least popular role. Because normally it's the hardest role because you have to manage so much. Like you look at MMOs, like tanks in WoW, like they're so fucking rare. You pick them instantly in Mythic Plus. You're like, okay, tank fucking queued up. Yo, let's pick him. I don't give a shit if he's low eye level, low fucking Mythic Plus score. It's because they're so rare because they need to do a lot. There's a lot of pressure on that role to actually stay alive and be decent. They've kind of moved away from that in Overwatch 2, kind of with like Doomfist. He can kind of do his own thing. Ball has always been a bit of an anomaly. But if you look at like Rhine, Zarya, like any kind of tank that stands in the front line and just kind of exists and pushes and takes space, like that is the hardest role in the game.
That's how you...
As in terms of like responsibilities. You could probably say DPS is harder because the mechanical skill required, but like just the responsibilities for the tank role is just so much greater than most.
The argument from the 6v6 side, this is what they propose. The argument is that, you know, if you introduce another tank back in the game, you have 2 tanks per team, then tank will be fun again, on top of the fact that maybe the Overwatch 2 tanks are better designed now, and you know, there's less CC and all that kind of BS, so then tanks will have a better time. So if tanks are more fun, then more people queue tank. And the fallacy there is that that's not the reason people didn't queue tank. People don't queue tank because the role itself is just not appealing. Like, that's just not an appealing role. You can make tank quote unquote fun. I don't know, like, what is fun tank, by the way? That's still hard to define.
Well, that's
what
the
that
other
even means.
fun to
But
them
even,
is like, well, it can't be too good, but also can't be too bad. I'm like, well,
that's
it
the thing
has
is,
to be one of them.
even if tank was perfectly balanced and quote unquote fun, because there's not a lot of CC in the game, it will still not have enough players to fix the queue times because the role itself is not attractive. Just fundamentally, the role itself is not attractive, no matter how fun tanks are, is my belief. But the 6v6 crowd, the 6v6 crowd don't want to believe, they do not want to believe that. And so unfortunately, we're going to have to fuck around and find out, do the test, then they'll realize they were wrong. And I know I sound like very confident about this. I am pretty confident about this because I truly believe that fundamentally, from a psychological level, gamers and people in general do not want to play tank no matter how fun it is. That's my belief.
I look forward to it. I think it's gonna be fun. I look forward to it. It's gonna be great content. It's gonna be a fun time to try it out. It's gonna be a very engaging time in Overwatch 2.
Initially, yeah. I think all these kind of experience, the Overwatch Classic, going through the different metas, like Overwatch Classic sucks, like as a game to play like true. Constantly, but like playing it as a small gimmick mode is kind of fun. Like I jumped in on Widow, just fucking headshot 5 people, and
yeah, it is fun. It's fun to be able to also have your one friend that can't fucking aim, and he's like, okay, I'm mercy rezzing, and like he's literally just waiting to res, like, and that's the whole character's gimmick is that, and like the game itself is fun to play. Again, I'm just essentially my one worry here because I'm on Avril's side too. Because I think that like 5e, there is a reason that we're on 5v5. There is a reason, despite what people want to say.
Yeah, we talked about it for the past 20 minutes.
Yes, but like, pretty much is like, I'm just hoping that I'm assuming Blizzard, and I know they're going to be smart enough to like their retention and like how long they study these modes are going to go out for a really long time versus just like maybe higher up see this for like a month of activity and are like, oh, we have a really good month, we have to go more into 6v6. I don't think it's going to happen. I think they're all smarter than that over there, so I don't think that's going to occur. But like, that's my what, because I'm pretty confidently in Avril's camp that like we'll learn our lesson here and everyone understand. Like,
not us. We already know what the lesson is.
We know our lesson.
It's the people that
this is a royal we. They
need to learn the lesson, not us. We already learned it.
But it's a fun game. I think the other modes are going to be fun. I think it's going to be a rude awakening for like some of these modes for people that like almost, because there's a lot of people that really didn't even play Overwatch Classic. A lot of the people that played Overwatch 2 that are coming back to play actually have never even played Overwatch Classic before, and like to play that mode and be like, oh my god, like you used to work like this, like holy shit, like this is crazy. Like
you live like this.
So I think it's a really fun experiment, and I'm also not. I think a lot of people get mad at the concept of like being nostalgia merchants, and I don't think that's inherently bad as long as it's not like a very big core part of the game.
Well,
is
the
like
best way to be a nostalgia merchant is bring the thing back, but bring the thing back a whole lot fucking better, not like carbon copy what we're having. You know what I mean? Like, hey, if you're doing remasters, up the graphics, keep all the mechanics and stuff the same, it's all good. You know, you going back, playing on the original hardware, Game Boy without a backlight, probably don't want to do that, you know? I think this is, I obviously agree with you, Avril, in what you're saying. It's going to be a fun time to try it out. Is it going to stick around? Don't think so. I am most looking forward to GOATs, actually. I think Overwatch Classic. I think it's going to be so funny.
Avast, you said that it's going to be a rude awakening for some people. I think I'm just a little bit sad. I'm a little bit sad inside as well. because I don't have an analogy for you, but it is going to be like a good kind of like reminder, something they haven't had in a long time, which is going to be off-tank players feeling that like glorious feeling again, playing Zarya, and it makes sense. You're playing Zarya with a main tank. The character makes sense again. Wrecking Ball players don't have to worry about their team because there's an off-tank protecting the team while the Wrecking Ball is off doing stuff.
To be fair, they don't really have to do it now.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Their asses don't do that now. So
I genuinely think that is going to be fun. I think there are some heroes in the game that will just make more sense in 6v6, and they're going to be more fun. And then that is when you meet like the hard reality of the fact that yes, Zarya is going to be a much better fit in 6v6, but we can't bring it back. And so it's like the fucking it's like the fucking, oh my god, I almost had it. What's that Leo DiCaprio movie when it's called Shutter Island or something?
Titanic. Oh, Shutter Island,
and
yeah.
he had like these wonderful dreams about his wife or something, and then he's like, oh, my sweet wife, and then he gets like ripped away from him and he's back on like the Shutter Island fucking
an amazing
prison
film.
Yeah, so there you go. I love that movie, by the way. So that's going to be Zarya players. They'll just be like, oh, this is beautiful, this is so lovely, and then
DPS
snap
doing,
back at it.
baby.
I mean,
Fucking rollouts
Zarya
again.
definitely the one. I mean, like, because if you think of like characters in general that suffered pretty heavily from the move to like 6v6, like Zarya is definitely one that like felt like in the tank role in particular got hit the hardest. Because I think Diva still works pretty well with the reworks. Roadhog is still Roadhog. It's just now you don't have another tank to like peel for you, but you also have all the extra utility. Reinhardt's so strong now to a degree that I think he's fine. Winston's fine. Like Ball's fine. Doom's like obviously fine in the context of, like there's obviously balance issues, but it's like I don't think any of those characters they've either fixed or they've survived the pivot, the vibe shift. And I think Zarya comparatively is still like by far has the most missing from where she was in 6v6, like you said, John.
Yeah.
By far, like has the most missing.
It's almost like
And
it needs to
Lucio,
be a
and also
damage hero or
Lucio.
something.
I also think Lucio has an insane amount missing because like it's interesting to me the parody, the horseshoe theory of like release Overwatch. Lucio is really bad, but he's the only one that does what he does. New Overwatch. Lucio is really bad, but now also someone can do what he does. I guess
Do you guys
that's
imagine Juno Brig in 6v6? Like, my god. Damn.
It'll be
Nothing is gonna. They're gonna tone down the healing stuff because nothing is going to die in 6v6.
I mean, they'll definitely be making adjustments, but it's just like
Yeah,
will.
they have it out for a long time,
Yeah.
so hopefully they make some
they will.
fixes and balance changes. Yeah,
I just hope- I just hope
they
they
balance the Junkenstein slab card. Of course, they're gonna balance 6v6 sets. It's not for a long time. Anyway, I want to go in a bit of a different direction because we've just been hammering 6v6 now because somehow we're all 5v5 truthers. No one who actually enjoys 6v6 is still listening to a podcast, but
That's so true.
But I want you all to say something you liked about Overwatch Classic. Did you find any enjoyment in it? Whether it was like the nostalgia, like, oh, we're back, there was like some silliness in it. Like, not that the mode was good, but did you find some entertainment in how silly like the mode was?
I locked in Widow, and there's almost no matchmaking, and I headshot people without using a controller. And because no one can move, and
That's
everybody's
all
really
you
slow.
took from Overwatch Classic is you locked Widow.
Genuinely. I clicked on Widow, and I
There was
just
no
clicked
like
on
5
everybody's heads.
Winstons on Anubis or something like that.
I did play a few games of like 5 tanks, 1 Lucio, but no one was coordinated enough. My first game was 6 Torbjorns on. I was one of the Torbjorns. So that was kind of shit, actually. I was like, this was fun for like 2 minutes. And now I'm like, we are just getting run over and I am now bored. So
I thought the mode was genuinely fun, and then I got a 2 CP game, and I was like, "Oh, this is dog shit."
Oh,
We made
yeah.
that-
Dude,
we made
did you
the
watch
Hanamura
the
stall.
Albert? Did you watch the old, the Hanamura clip from India
Yeah.
that Albert
Yeah.
reposted?
It still
It's like
works.
3.5 minutes
It
of
works.
stall. It wasn't even full 6 tanks. It wasn't even a full 6 tanks. It's just the ability to cycle so
It's
properly
so
with the extra
dumb.
player. But
I think that was great because all the 2 CP people, they got their ass handed to them this
Oh,
week.
right.
They just like.
But it's an
so like
endless
J3,
cycle,
I hopefully J3 just stops talking about that game of
Bro,
forever.
he loves
He's not.
2 CP
He's not
for
gonna
some
stop.
reason.
He's not gonna stop. But I'm gonna be honest
though.
though. I actually am a 2CP truther, but that's just because. But not in the way that I actually think the game mode is like really well done. And I'm not also going to argue down to the argument that a lot of 6v6 people do of like, well, if we just balance it better, everything will be fixed. It's like I'm not necessarily saying that, but I do think at its core was a there were fun moments. There were fun moments in 2CP that were not replicated in other game modes, which is why I liked it compared to a lot of
Clash
game modes.
is not it. It did not bring.
Yeah,
any
I mean that's the
vibes
thing.
of
It had a
fucking
fundamental
2CP.
problem, but it was fun. But I do think my Overwatch Classic thing is like I had the two ones that I most enjoyed. I hate every moment where there's like 5 tanks or like 5 DPS on the field. I hate them. I hate them all. I really don't enjoy that experience. I lived through that experience. I played through that experience. I didn't like it, especially with respect to like post roll lock type of thing. But I did think like it allowed, like I said, the Mercy players, people that want to res, because some people literally they just want to be the power bottom and they just want to res, and that's what they want to do. And like legitimately, like I have friends that can't play an FPS to save their fucking life, but they love playing res Mercy. They love being power bottom Mercy.
It is.
They love it.
For some part of the gaming player base, it is like peak. Like a
They love
5-man
it.
res is peak.
Yeah.
They love that shit. It's terrible. It's bad. It's a really bad fucking thing, but it's like they really do love it, and it's something that like I think was a really definitive experience. And I like that they got that back. And also Roadhog players. I think Roadhog players got to experience warmth and love for the first time in a while in the 6v6 return, because everyone hates playing against Roadhog and getting a Roadhog on their team in Overwatch 2. Everyone hated getting Roadhogs on their team throughout all of 6v6. But in Overwatch Classic, especially since the player base has gotten significantly better over time, so Roadhog players themselves have also gotten better, Roadhog is just like legitimately so fucking good because of the interdimensional hook and the fact that there's no Ana. Like, and also like the D.Va is like turbo cheeks. So like there's no supports that really count.
Dude, they're still stalling while we're talking.
There's no supports and he has interdimensional hook, and he also gets the one shot everything. Like Roadhog players legitimately, I have a friend that loves Roadhog. Like addicted to Roadhog. He's like, this is how the game. It made Hard Blue post again. 6v6 coming back made Hard Blue post again about like, oh man, I missed Hog. Like those.
Hey,
were the two
Hard Blue is
highlights
still
for me.
streaming on the regular.
I know, but he
streams
just never
a lot,
posts.
yeah.
But he never
Yeah.
posts though. Like he posts.
What I find
People don't post anymore.
what I kind of came to the realization really quickly, and it was kind of I've always kind of thought about this, especially like way back then. I mean, obviously this won't happen in the 6v6 test because it's 2-2-2, but the average quality of games is just significantly better with Rollock, because half of the games I played, it's like the team comps, they obviously are not really going to make any sense, but in the 6v6 with this little healers and like how many heroes we actually have, they kind of make sense. Like, sure, you have Winston D.Va or whatever, but the majority of games are just like OnlyFans.
What?
Kiriko, what the fuck was that? Click on that video. Pull that up. Pull that up.
No, don't pull that up. Don't pull that up.
It's
Don't pull that
OnlyFans
up.
Kiriko.
Jump scare.
Holy
Oh my
shit.
God.
But like the average quality of games is just infinitely better. Like infinite, because like you don't jump in and you have 5 fucking Torbs.
Oh my God, Solomon, get this off the fucking screen.
Okay.
Wait, holy shit! I have to go look at all those pins. But it's
What?
yeah, it's a
you gotta look at those feet. I thought you were gonna say.
no, not the feet.
Holy shit! I gotta look at those
Not the-
feet.
Not the feet.
Anything in close on Overwatch Classic? You
Yeah,
want to see it
I
return?
I will say that it's impressive that they were able to like execute it, because I thought the 6v6 stuff was all going to be like Overwatch 2, but the fact that they actually restored what is it's you know, like
Dude, it's a real thing.
a faithful version of like where launch Overwatch was. I was like, wow, how did they do that? Like they actually managed to get all, and it's not as easy. It's like, what, did they just have that version of Overwatch locked in the basement somewhere and just reverted
wouldn't
the
be surprised if they have backups of like different phases of the game.
yeah
It wouldn't shock me. Like that, it happened with World of Warcraft, and it's happened with
'cause I
many
thought- I
games.
would've
with
thought-
World of Warcraft. I think that was a bit different because they had to like
It was.
restore
Someone
them.
found the fucking server blade or whatever, didn't they?
Or
like,
Classic.
some
Yeah,
shit
they had to like
that
restore it.
Because
They had
like,
to
because in my
restore
mind,
the missing
I was
pieces,
like,
yeah.
if you're gonna do Overwatch Classic, do you have to like do you have to like, you know, do the dev work to like remake the old stuff and like re-implement the interdimensional hook and stuff like that? Do you know what I mean? Like, how do you
They
put the
got
bugs
backups.
back in the game? That's what I'm saying. It's like it. So to me, it's like impressive that they managed to restore it, because
Yeah.
I guess they have to have backups, because it'd be way too hard to like reverse develop the game, right? It'd be way too hard.
Well, it's interesting
Yeah.
because they said that part of the problem with 6v6
It's Connor's
was
cam
because
froze? Oh no, he just didn't move. Okay.
they,
No, I've been
um,
very locked in.
They didn't have like the processing for 6v6 anymore. Like it was a big like server load or something to like restore 6v6 to Overwatch 2, something like that. I think they said it in an initial blog. So obviously like they had to work on getting it back somehow. But yeah, it's really impressive how it's the real thing.
Yeah, they definitely have backups. Yeah, that's an interesting point actually. Just server infrastructure and like connecting two extra players can really actually.
The listeners love when we talk about server infrastructure.
Dude, I love to. What are you saying?
I'm sure they love when we talk about all the basics of like games marketing and like understand
but
like
also,
retention and things like that. Like, I'm sure they love
but also like how
do
they
love
managed to
retention.
put Classic and the regular Overwatch 2 in the same client, in the same game, on the same engine, but have all the old bugs and shit. You know what I mean? Like that's actually, to me, technically quite impressive to be able to have both those things in the game at the same time.
The dev team cooks.
They are pretty
We'll
good.
continue
I'm
to
just
shield
gonna
the
say,
developer team on this podcast.
The engineers, it's just a huge W for the engineers who managed to pull this off.
Yeah.
Honestly. Yeah.
I would love
I'm
to
sure
see
they
these
have
on
very
backups.
good data storage and backups because I know that's like been an issue in entertainment for a while. It's like the fucking Toy Story movie was almost lost, except for the fact that one person had like a local
Had a
copy on
backup,
their hard
yeah.
drive,
Which is
so
insane.
like it's like there's that is a very impressive technical feat and
They
respect
got that
whoever
shit under
organized
lock
that.
and key somewhere at Blizzard HQ. They probably got a server rack that is like air gapped as well, so it doesn't touch the internet.
Get gapped by air, idiot.
Get
I would never
gapped
get
by
gapped by
air.
air.
Matt in chat did bring up a good point. Not Matt Morello, a different Matt.
Oh, thank God.
I don't
I
think
would-
it would be Matt Morello.
Yeah,
I would have
there's no
loved if they used Overwatch Classic as an opportunity to bring back end cards for fun. Yeah, end cards would have been.
Oh,
would have
end
been
cards
fun.
are quite cool. It's probably like an engine thing. Like
No, if you
especially,
brought
like, when
that
you're
back, everyone would be
transitioning
like,
out
well,
of
why
game.
isn't this in the game now? Like people would be start doing that kind of
Yo,
stuff.
man,
you know?
why isn't it in the game now?
I'm gonna be honest. I don't think in cards
look
are
kinda cool.
inherent. In cards, I mean, also like in cards, especially since we have a scoreboard now. I don't think in cards are bad. In cards were only bad because there was like
The no scoreboard.
the replacement for the scoreboard.
Yeah.
But like having a scoreboard plus an in card, I think is perfectly fine. I think it's fun. You can highlight some fun stats. Like I think it's a fun little thing. Why not have it? You know.
Put it after the play of the game. If you leave the game, you know. Yeah.
I think that's fun. I don't disagree.
Yeah. I was going to tell something else.
My
Yeah.
last comment on the
Yeah, last
classic thing.
comment.
I'm curious how they're going to do the goats one. If they're only going to enable the goats characters, or if they're going to enable everything. Because if
Wants
they
to
enable
play goats.
everything, they are
Goats
not. No
one?
one's going to play goats. They are not.
Is there a
'cause they're
goat
gonna-
one?
Yeah, they said they're going to do like different phases of Overwatch. Like, oh, this is classic. This is like this meta. This is like from this 6v6. I swear to God, it was in the blog, and it specifically mentioned goats.
Yeah,
I
probably.
believe. But I'm curious how they're going to do that one, because if it is like, oh, the goats patch, which is going to be cool, no one's going to play goats. No one's going to play that shit, because even in ranked, sometimes it was hard to get teams to play goats, even if it was the best fucking comp. at
Well,
the
if you
time.
could cue the goats mode, you better play goats.
Right, and that's why I'm curious if they're only
Yeah.
going to enable the goats characters, but we'll see.
All right. I think that kind of concludes the Overwatch Classic 6v6 segment. Obviously, we'll talk more about 6v6 come the actual play tests. There was also the quick play hacked. I forgot about that. But personally, I actually didn't try it because I was gone when it was live. So,
I did not play that.
but
I only
Valorant.
cared about the class. I only cared about the class.
I heard it was bad. Everyone just like, this doesn't make sense. It's just open queue. So I don't think we missed anything.
Supposed to be?
I don't know. Wasn't it like limit 3? So it was essentially open queue.
Oh, it's just open queue a little bit 3. Oh, whatever then. Okay.
Well,
I don't
it
think
was
I
in the
heard any good
podcast.
feedback from that.
This is
I think I heard
this is in the
zero good feedback
podcast
from
to
that.
discuss that.
Yeah,
that
it seemed. I don't think we should bother talking about it because it seemed like no one really enjoyed it. There was nothing to really
Didn't
take
even
from
know
it.
it
So,
So we can move on.
yeah, there we go. But there is another 5v5 test coming. The Kingmaker one. That one's going to be fun. The Kingmaker one. I think it could
that?
be a fun mode. You don't know what Kingmaker. You haven't even read the blog, bro. So Kingmaker is that you can have a solo tank player like now, a solo damage player, or a solo support player. So you can go like 2-2-1. But the player who is alone in their role, so the solo damage player or the solo support player, they get a buff. So like right now, tanks are a little bit stronger because they're the single tank. So if you have 2 tanks, 1 damage, 2 support, then they'll get the damage player will get a small buff to like compensate for the fact that they're the only damage player in the lobby. Right. And same with support. So I don't know what the buffs are. They didn't really expand on what the buffs are, but it's going to be like a quick play hack to like buff the solo role.
I can already see in my fucking mind the strongest comp in that one is 2 tanks, one DPS, 2 support. Because if the DPS is just not omega strong, but like stronger, that makes the most sense because you have 2 giant beefy fucking characters, and then you got the twink on DPS, and then you have 2 supports. Like that makes the most sense to me. But
I know George's like, wait, he's like, what's the gig above Kingmaker Widowmaker gonna look like, huh? Just like double HP.
Yeah,
how much damage she gotta do? Just like
she has no fucking fall off anymore.
Like two cooldown charges of grapple. Just fucking.
Yeah. That's kind of an
never
interesting
catch
mode.
her.
I might
Like
play that actually. We'll see.
better mine instantly kills
Moira
you. Just,
with double healing. Just
Moira double orb. You throw
double orb.
out.
Anyway,
Not the double orb.
we'll see what the buffs are. So I think there could be a fun mode, like a fun arcade mode to kind of try out. Obviously, I don't think it's the future of the game or anything. But yeah, there you have it. All right. So this was, I think, technically the mid-season. So they released a few things, but they also had a balance patch. The balance patch is pretty long, but honestly, there's nothing like mind-blowing about it, I think.
Yeah, I disagree, but carry on.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Go on.
Well,
go on.
I will just let you take this segment.
Okay.
Go
We got
ahead.
the balance patch, Solomon. Solomon! Look at that. Whoom. Okay. Why do we keep buffing Doomfist? Why do we keep doing
Dude,
this?
I will say
This-
I absolutely agreed. It is
This is
I
crazy.
absolutely agreed. I don't think we need
You
to
gotta
we
stop
need to stop
buffing Doomfist.
We need to stop buffing Doomfist.
Holy
Yeah.
shit. Funnily enough, I've been playing a lot of Valorant actually with Brennan and Josh. It's been super fun. I play the Overwatch character, Neon, and it's very fun because I get to run around and don't have to worry about aim.
Well, they're nerfing her, so you know.
I know they are. It's fucking sad, bro. I only play Neon right now. My first game back actually in a little while because I was on holiday as well. Was against fucking Zebra on Doomfist, and he fucking went deathless in a round of Saravasa, I think it was. Doomfist is already really hard to fucking kill. This is a problem hero where if you make this character too strong, no one has fun, and Doomfist becomes server admin, and you can't do shit. I'm actually, no joke, I'm transferring to a DPS player. I've had enough of support. I don't give a fuck anymore. I don't want to heal my team. I think the Doomfist one was kind of crazy. The angled wall slam increase from 44 to 55 doesn't seem like a lot, but like, I'm sure everybody's been in this situation where you like slide off of a wall and you're like, oh, okay, I didn't actually get slammed. But like this one makes it unbelievably consistent. And the amount of times, obviously good Doomfist players like Zebra are going to be able to do this constantly anyway. But Doomfist feels unbelievably good right now. Again, could just be we're only just coming into this new patch, but they got to stop buffing this character because the one tricks and the people that are good, they're always going to be just server admins. Everybody else is kind of meh, but I do not agree with this fucking buff at all.
It's actually a large buff because you look at it surface level and you're like, oh, well, it's just like a 25%, 30% buff or whatever. But it's within like a reasonable range, right? Because obviously like 11 degrees don't make sense. 0 degrees doesn't make sense. So the range in like terms of strength is probably between like 40 to 60. So because otherwise the game is just silly at that point. So it's actually like a huge buff within a reasonable range for the angle required. And so
he's also unbelievable in solo queue. Just like Doomfist as a character, ignore these buffs. Doomfist is very good because the downfall of Doomfist is if you have a coordinated team, you're going to be able to like target the Doomfist really easily. You're going to be able to catch him off cooldowns and stuff. But in solo queue, that's not really the case. In like general ranked, which is 99.9% of the player base play normal ranked. Meteor Strike 2, you get full health now, basically, if you're in the air. A lot of players will say
since the cost got reduced.
right, and you get it faster now as well by 8%, which doesn't seem like a lot, but in the grand scheme of things, he's getting a lot more ults off in a game for fucking sure. They gotta stop buffing this character.
Yeah, I agreed. I agree.
It's crazy.
It's a sad reality where like there's so many ways to counterplay Doomfist. So they're like, yeah, let's buff Doomfist. But it's like the problem is like the character's countering Doomfist, you know? Like,
and like people obviously it's like, oh, just don't shoot the block. That's very difficult against a lot of Doomfists who like incoming fire and all the projectiles in the game, and it's easy to kind of like, oh, you fired your projectiles, I'll just put block up now. And like so he's always getting punched. He's a very slippery character, just a frustrating character to play against, and definitely in that tier of like, if he's too strong, the game becomes very unfun for the entire lobby. Unless you're winning with the Doomfist, and then you don't have to worry about anything because the enemy Doomfist sucks or something.
Doomfist is one of those characters that when Doomfist should be meta because other tanks are weak, not because Doomfist is strong.
Sure. He's a problem hero.
Yeah.
And they keep buffing him.
All right.
He's the type of hero that's not very good in low ranks. I don't know. He's the type of hero that I feel like is based on skill ceiling. So if you're actually good at this hero, you make him look insane. But otherwise, you just feed. You just feed on this guy. So
I
don't
have
know.
played with like very casual friends, and at this point, essentially, like obviously, I play like more casually compared to actually playing competitively. And like when you go up against Doomfist players, like really good Doomfist players, when you're in a stack of like fun, like people are like, oh man, we love to play Overwatch together. Like we play a couple nights a week, type of thing. And the Doomfist literally is like, okay, Servi, like it's over. Everyone, let's put our mouse and keyboard down. Let's tab out because they're just simply put like if you're that good and you keep on getting like these residual buffs, like. The average player simply like is incapable. Like I'll even pull out my 2018 brain and be like, okay, we're gonna shot call versus Doomfist. Let's get a Sombra chasing his ass. Like and it's just they can't do it. They simply don't have the mechanics to chase his ass down. They can't do it. And I'm washed, so like I can't do it.
His biggest counter was Sombra back in the day because the hack, but like hack doesn't last long at all now, and Doomfist just insta punches out. And you can still do short hot punch, you can do long punch and stuff like. The character is just extremely good in the right hands, and even just like an adequate Doomfist, like they are very, very. Oh my god, it's like he's not a tank. Like he's just not. It's so strange because like obviously he was DPS, but like it just again once more feels like Doomfist is not a tank. He's just a big DPS in that role. Let's stop talking about this though. Scroll down. I know we need to get.
Yeah, I think we're gonna try to speed run these.
Yeah. So the queen changes weren't anything crazy. It's a little bit of a nerf, yes. Sure. Okay, Jaggerblades are like harder to hit now. Whatever. If you scroll down again, so Malga's actually an interesting one.
Okay, well, I didn't mean speedrun that fast.
Well,
okay,
no,
I mean, Junker Queen was inconsequential.
Okay.
Junker Queen's like
it's literally inconsequential. The two biggest changes in this patch are this one as well. Like Malga being buffed, although not one of his primary abilities, it's
can you let me
insane.
Say something about Junker Queen before you talk about Mario?
Junker Queen.
But because I love Junker Queen. Okay, I love Junker Queen.
Okay.
I wish they hadn't nerfed her. But for those people who don't know, Junker Queen has the highest win rate of like all tanks in the game when it comes to competitive. So it's statistically like the strongest tank in the game, and so they had to reduce Junker Queen somehow.
Especially now. We'll get to the support changes in a second, but like she is very good, bro.
All right, you can go ahead, Joss.
Okay, we'll go ahead, bro.
Yeah,
okay, Malga, one of his key abilities is cardiac overdrive. Thank fuck that didn't get buffed. But the movement speed is kind of wicked. He go very fast now. I did play against one a little bit earlier on. I was playing DPS though, so I kind of ignored him. But the cooldown reduction and the charge, it just makes him a little bit more mobile. I think it just kind of brings him more in line. And I'm happy they're not touching cardiac overdrive because that's the like problem skill. But like if it's too overtuned, the whole game is just around that one cooldown. So Overrun's actually it's kind of a nice change. I like it because he wasn't seeing a lot of play.
Did you think Malga needed a buff?
Malga? To charge, sure. To charge, yeah, why not? But if it was
I don't like it. Why
if it was
buff
cardiac
Malga?
overdrive?
Leave Malga got like a crumb of playtime, and that's all Malga deserves. Leave him in the ditch.
That's only because we had the Malga meta. And I think if they buffed cardiac overdrive, I'd agree with you, but because it's only overrun, it's okay.
No.
Okay.
I don't like it. I don't like buffing Malga.
Why don't you just don't like the concept of buffing Malga in general?
I think Malga is a problem character. Buffing Malga is bad. It's just
but I mean that's
we're not buffing the problem parts of the character.
Malga should be a hero that is picked to like counter certain other compositions or instances, and I think reasonably Malga kind of did that. Or like sometimes you just bring out Malga for like shits and giggles. Like the enemy team isn't playing Ana and they're playing like Roadhog or something. Like okay, I pull out the Malga. Like great, all right, let me do that. Okay, if you justify me playing Malga more often, I don't like that.
Yeah, Malga's a very boring character. Like he shoot gun and that's it. Really,
it's unhealthy for the game.
It is. By the way, you're speaking like me, Johnny. This is crazy.
Look. I mean, yeah. Like, I'm talking about characters that affect me as a tank, and you're talking about Doomfist, which affects you as a support. I think it's pretty natural.
I don't play support anymore. I play defense.
He says he's retired. He says he's retired.
We can move on.
We can move on.
Yeah.
We can move on.
All right.
We can move
Solomon. Yeah, I'm sorry. I know it's late, Solomon. Hang in there. We'll wrap it up for you, buddy. All right,
I actually really like this change.
Thank God. I've been yapping about this on the broadcast. About Stormbow. I will just say about Stormbow first. I have been saying we're increasing the time to fully charge. It felt bad. That's all I say.
It was very slow.
I'm happy.
The deployables thing is kind of cool, actually. Like, It's kind of bad for like everybody that has deployables and summons like Torb and stuff, but it kind of makes sense. It's just, so
I mean, it should
I'm not
make
too
sense.
mad
An ult
about
should
it.
kill. An ult should kill anything
Exactly,
with a health
yeah.
pool if it damages on the
Exactly.
field. It just should.
That's kinda cool.
Unless that's like a specific part of the character. Unless you're like, oh, I'm the stealth builder. I'm resistant to all
stealth
damage.
builder.
I'm a VC builder that moves in stealth. Like I think that like overall like that everything should die if there's an ult that does damage. So
He
it
can kill
just makes
Cage
sense.
now, which is kind of funny. if
Dude.
Mago becomes meta, it would just be.
Dude.
Oh
between
my
Cage and
god,
Dragon
that's
Strike.
actually a great counter.
Yeah.
It's not gonna justify Hanzo being played.
It's
but
not.
It is
It's
funny.
not. But like, I think that makes sense as a quality. Of life.
I did think it was an interesting change though. I was like, how could this affect compositions or metas? You know?
Well, think about deployables, right? You have Malga Cage, Torb turret, Sim TP. Like,
Well, even like Sigma Shield, like it's like you put it out for a little bit, takes damage. Like that's significant in the mirror.
that's not a buildable though.
Well, it says barriers.
Enemy buildables. Oh, it says barriers in the thing. Oh yeah, okay, sure.
Damage
oh yeah,
non-player
barriers, turrets
entities
and
such as
stuff.
barriers.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, that it goes wicked sick against fucking
Winston
Malga.
barriers. Boom. No, I don't
yeah,
know. Like
just-
I don't know.
On
I
the
don't-
Winston dives and you
You
ult the
drag it
bubble.
like
Like,
him. Get fucking owned, idiot.
I'm trolling, but like I think it's interesting. Like it's
barriers. I mean, barriers weren't always like. Think about how much time you're spending using a barrier in like
Okay.
a Dragon Strike or near a Dragon Strike.
Sure,
Probably
but
not
like,
that often.
I'll
But
give
there's
this
small instances,
example.
Yeah, sure.
let's say a Hanzo is cutting me off as a Reinhardt. I'm using my shield as I'm jumping through the dragon to peel back to
and
my
it's
team.
Damaging
And so now
it,
I'll
yeah.
take double the health and the shield
Sure.
damage while I'm like retreating.
If that Hanzo used a Dragon Strike just on you like that, he should be removed from the fucking game. 'Cause
No, but you
that is
cut
a
off the
terrible
team,
play.
and then you punish
Oh,
them
shit,
when the
play.
dragon's out. Anyway,
Yeah, I kind of get it. I think dude, it kind of fucking owns Malga though. But
bro,
anyway, I
I'm
thought it
not,
was
I'm
a
not
nice
saying
change.
that this is what freaking Infected is doing for Nightmare. I'm just saying like these are like examples in the game where
doing
like
that.
it could be quite
How
significant.
do you know?
Yeah, quite
He
interesting.
might
So
be doing that. Junkrat got buffed or nerfed, I believe. I think it's Concussion Mine. Solomon, sorry. Oh yeah, Concussion Mine increased cooldown. It doesn't seem like a big change. I don't know. Obviously, apart from the OTPs on the ladder that like wombo combo you, I guess it will be less frequent, but it doesn't seem like a big one to me, at least. A non-Junkrat player.
I think I've seen some complaints about this just because it's like, well, you're essentially just nerfing like one of the only like kind of intrinsically fun portions of Junkrat's kit, because most of his kit is like, if we're being completely fair, how he currently works
Spam.
is he is one of the least like interesting characters. He's one of the least interesting characters. He has one of the least complex mechanics. He's just a very unfun boy. And so like whenever you mess with his mind, which is probably one of the only really interesting fun parts of his kit right now, like they're like, well, I don't agree with this, but like, what are you gonna do? The character needs to be blown up and rebuilt. So like that's essentially
Yeah.
like that's my
Junkrat
thoughts on
2.
Junkrat in general. I think Junkrat needs to become Junkrat 2.
Junkrat 2 is fine. I think it's okay, but yeah, I kind of agree with that actually. I didn't think about the fun aspect of the character, to be honest.
Yeah, it's like the only interesting thing about his kit. Like there's the
Yeah.
character
You just-
is literally built for people that you can tape down your mouse and just walk around. Like
Yeah,
it's, there's,
that is
you don't have
true,
to. You
yeah.
literally don't have to do anything else on the hero. You don't. So like I think like obviously like the mine is the only interesting part of his kit currently at all.
Right. Makes sense. I mean, if you scroll down now, we go to repro spose. Oh, what? What do you want to talk about more about the
No,
Which
fun?
is a shame because everyone
I'm
wants to
glad
fuck
that's
Junkrat
right.
apparently in the
I'm-
fanfic community, but he's useless in
The
game.
fun-
So
Well, we're not all on AO3 all the time.
yeah,
Jobless, by the way. Lifesteal
Jobless,
reduced
by
from
Jobless.
helpless by the way.
I don't know if you guys think of anything crazy about this. Like, I don't know if Reaper did he feel like he lifestealed too much before?
Well,
Like,
I know
maybe
Super loved. I know Super loved Reaper. I know he loved
Maybe
Reaper.
a
Back was
little bit.
Reaper was overtuned.
Yeah, I mean,
Fair
people have
enough.
said that Reaper is pretty strong. So, like, I feel like this is a marginal nerf that's fine, to make him less strong.
He has a lot of health now, like the dev comment says. So yeah, kind of makes sense. Like bring it more in line and less life steely. So yeah, that's.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fine. Oh,
Because
yeah,
that was
reduction
definitely a
in
big
Swift
part
step
of it.
as well. This fucking change is crazy. This is like the tracer change. Every 3 or to 6 months, we get the 1 second tracer change. The 1 second, and it is a recall is being reduced now from 13 to 12.
It's because
so
Tracer is just one. It's a hero like Lucio where
it's one
essentially
of the
you've
perfect
reached.
characters.
They're
game.
perfect and like Tracer, but unlike Lucio, Tracer actually still valuable while Lucio is useless. So like it's like they overall like that like Tracer just I think Tracer is essentially going to be in the situation. It's like a software development situation where it's like, guys, we have to seem like we're doing something to our bosses. Okay, let's adjust the numbers on Tracer a little bit. It's like, oh yeah, we fixed we fixed like that one button in the UI that even though our app was perfect, we just did that because we have to show them that we're doing.
We changed it
It's
from
like, okay.
round to squared off. It
Yeah,
went
it's like
crazy. People loved it.
we did something here. Don't worry. So like I think that's how I feel about Tracer essentially. Not that like nerfs
Yeah.
and buffs can't necessarily happen, but like realistically, there is not. You can't really do much to Tracer because she is essentially the perfect character.
Well,
Guys.
her damage has been ping ponging for like the last year, so I guess they wanted to touch something else this time.
I'm pretty sure the next patch note will be Cassie's HP will go up or down by 25 HP.
Yeah, actually, so true.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
true.
It was pretty funny when Orisa got that nerf the previous patch, and someone like the day before on Twitter was just like, "Oh, we made a change to Orisa. 25 armor is now 25 health," or something like that. And that was exactly they brought down a little bit. Anyway,
But
sorry.
pulse pistol damage did go down recently, so yeah, make him recall so you can be a bit more aggressive, I suppose. Quicker.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever. It's Tracer buffs and nerfs. They happen every 6 months, so fuck it. I think the support ones are the apart from like the tank ones are the most interesting, especially Kiriko. I think is that one up next? If you scroll down, Solomon, to supports, please.
Oh no.
Oh, Ana got
Here we go.
Ooh, this is
Big.
significant, no?
This is significant, yeah.
Yes.
So like the 75 to 70, like this has happened again.
way
Another
around.
small change. Like this is other way around, yeah. But this happens all the time where they're like, okay, you can have the breakpoint now. Now you can't have the breakpoint. Oh, you can have the breakpoint now. Like so, they're finally like giving Ana back the breakpoint of like killing DPS characters in a 3-shot. Like
Fire
this
dies in a
happens
3
so
tap now, right? And Echo.
Actually, with the HP changes,
Yeah.
surely yes.
Fire
right?
and Echo die in a 3 tap from Ana
With the
now.
3-tap now, yeah.
Holy, that's
It's
huge.
strong.
Yeah, this
It's really
happens-
strong.
That's fucking huge.
Every year. And Ana, don't worry, guys. Next 2 patches, Ana will go back down to 70 because the flyers will complain. So,
Yep.
No, she's a huge anti-flyer now. She was already pretty like good versus flyers.
Yeah.
Now she's insane versus
Well,
flyers.
that's the thing. I mean, that's what Jack's saying is that like this is ping ponged like so many times where it's like, wait, what if we made Ana's like rifle?
What if we
damage
break
better?
the break point? Oh, let's put it back. Oh, we'll break the break point again.
It's just
Let's
like
put it
it's a
back.
break point, and we realize like, oh wait, this exists for a reason. It's just and a part of it is because they're adjusting other things, so they're always trying to fine
Right.
tune, obviously to a degree. But it's like
you know what should happen? This is what should happen. Just make the damage 74. Done.
Yeah.
74
So
damage.
pain.
That's
so
awful.
true.
I don't think I was going to get played much, to be fair, because of the Kiriko buff. But if you could scroll down to Juno, think, fuck, this character is... Thank God, bro. Orbital Ray is got to be one of the most dumbest abilities in the game. Dumbest ults in the game. Like, hands down. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but, like, that ult is, like...
Pretty strong.
It's pretty crazy.
It's so stupid. I think, fundamentally, that ult needs changing. But
I am very, not very, I'm gonna say very.
super anti-Juno.
But it was interesting because I had so much passion around like playing the game and playing ranked since like the release of Juno, and I think I'm finally getting to the point where it's like, okay, well I've kind of seen like the Juno
yeah.
meta. Like I'm kind of ready to move on now. Like I'm kind of ready for like Juno to be in some of my games, but not all of my games. Like if I didn't see Juno in all of my games on both teams, like I think I'd be fine with that. So I'm kind of ready to move on from the constant Juno meta.
She's just the strongest fucking support because her
She's
ultimate
strong.
is just like she click Q, everybody fucking dies instantly. Like
I remember when she
even
was
more
first
powerful than release Kira
being floated for like,
What
and we
is
saw her
that?
kit.
Sorry,
That
that's a
is-
fucking
That's
police
Jack
ad.
being arrested because he talks
So
over
I spoke
Johnny
ill
too
against
much.
Juno.
He
Did
talks
you know
over
Rule
Johnny too
34
much on the
committee?
podcast.
What's
and
the
so
what's the
he's,
legality of your
frustrated.
immigration status, Jules? What's going on there?
Okay. Funny guy, huh?
It's done
Wise
now.
guy.
It's done now, buddy. It's
Wise
over.
guy.
It's over for you. But remember
Yeah,
when
Check
Juno
on
first
you
got
first.
floated? Remember her kit, and we thought like, oh, she might not be very good, and then like how
Yes.
wrong, like we actually.
I
learned.
said Juno would be good. I said Juno would be good on that podcast.
I was middle.
I said Juno would be good.
I was middling because I was like, I don't know, because I was unsure how they were going to make the speed rings work, and how the way they implemented made a lot of sense. And then, I also think that was still in the process of like, as we continued to learn about like the balance of Overwatch 2, of like, she was the first time finally, like, not only did we get someone to replace Lucio, but like also firmly cemented the fact that like having characters that don't have to be close to their team but can provide value is just amazing. It's just like the greatest thing ever in a game like Overwatch.
Anyway, I hope they're a bit more aggressive with balance changes. Honestly,
on that,
like you can't just like small nerf. Like I get that's kind of reasonable, but like, dude, it's been like 1.5 season of this character being like stupidly played and with like high win rate. It's like it's been a 1.5 season. Let's move on. Let's shake it up.
Yeah, I mean, maybe the Kiriko change if you scroll down. Like they're reducing the cooldown for Swift Step and Suzu, so they're. Because they nerfed it previously, but now it's down to 14 and 7. So, like, I think Kiriko's real good. She obviously got, like the dev comment says, the HP reduction. Her already on the weaker side, I suppose. To be fair, with the HP reduction, her hitbox is so fucked. Like, to be fair, Juno's is also fucked because she is very quick. But Kiriko's hitbox is so, like slalomy, you know? It's, like, so slimy to actually fucking hit. And they are buffing her like this. I think we might see a little bit more Kiriko played. I wouldn't be too surprised. You can be so aggro with Swift Step. The 1 second actually does mean a whole fucking bunch. Going from 8 to 7 is pretty insane. And then recovery time, obviously. I don't know how much that I played a little bit of Kiriko, and I'm like, I don't really notice the kunai that much. Like 0.05 seconds. Maybe they just wanted a round number. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, more Suzus. And I that's why I think Ana is just kind of like meh. Because you could time, there was a small window where you could nade and then they Suzu and then you nade a little bit like on cooldown, like boom, and then there's a small window, but like that window is like closing every single patch, and like I don't know. I think Ana's kind of out. Kiriko might be back in. We'll see. I think Juno's still going to be permaplayed, but this buff is ridiculous for Kiriko, I think.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It would be fun.
Have Kiriko not
people have been saying that people have been saying that Kiriko has been like, I mean, Kiriko has been very like semi-absent for a long time, and I think it's very interesting to see that like Kiriko has felt like kind of weak, but Kiriko is still one of the like largest points of marketing for the game. It's like the disconnect we had with Mercy for a long time, where Mercy was like the face of the game to a degree, but or even Tracer, and like they were just completely not played ever.
I think it's a little dangerous to like tinker with some of these supports while Juno is meta, because Juno is so ridiculously strong. So you're buffing supports while nerfing Juno at the same time, which I think could just catapult one of these supports into like silly territory. And I'm not worried about Kiriko now, but you know, let's nerf Juno a little bit more and then get some more supports in the mix that way. I think it's that.
Juno is also a big marketing arm for the game as well, right? New character. And they're clearly wanting her to be not one of the faces, because Kiriko kind of is, but like they are definitely pushing that character.
Yeah,
like
but
everything, which
she
makes
doesn't
sense.
need to be broken at the same time.
She doesn't, but like it makes sense. Like, sure, if you want your like more, hey, we want this character to do a little bit more flagshipy, like, hey, maybe put her on the front of the fucking box art, whatever. Do more skins for her, make her strong, so then people play her. That's maybe why they're not nerfing as much. I've never necessarily believed that the balance team actually goes around and is like, okay, we need to make this, we're releasing a skin for this character, so we need to not nerf them or we need to buff them. I've never really thought that, but small buffs, small nerfs to Juno like that, I'm like, okay, you're trying to keep her around for a little bit longer. Kind of get it, but fuck me, that character's annoying.
Okay.
And then some inconsequential fucking... No other support matters, let's be real. If we scroll down, Lifeweaver just...
it's Lifeweaver.
Everybody loves
Rack Attack cares.
Rack Attack does care. I agree with you, but...
They buffed Life Grip. Cooldown reduced from 19 to 18 seconds and healing increased from 50 to 75. Tree of Life. Time before overhealth begins to drain when out of range increased from 2.5 to 6 seconds. If you leave the tree, you have overhealth for longer.
But
I mean, like,
it can
I
get
think
Dragon
I think
Strikes
it's-
now.
Yeah, I can get Dragon Strikes. In
Oh
there,
my
right? It
God.
could just kill the. It could kill the tree. They could do. They could do
Jesus
James
Christ.
Cameron's avatar and cut
How
down
much
the
how much
fucking
damage
tree
is the dragon? Would it be enough to kill the tree? The tree's pretty
Full
buff.
dragon? Oh, I don't know actually.
Because it moves so fast now that I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Good question.
Well, probably reasonably.
Car Q video.
Yeah, yeah. Honestly, okay, fair enough. You buffed Life Hero a bit. Let's leave Life Hero where Life Hero is now.
Yeah, very
This is
casual
great.
character.
This is great. Let's leave it. And then Moira
Are
as
you
well.
are you opposed to ever seeing a Life Weaver meta? I feel like I'm not technically.
I'm okay with seeing Life Weaver comps. I don't mind Life Weaver comps,
I'm
but
not
I don't want to see
opposed to
meta. Like Life
meta
Weaver
would be
like a
very
fully
boring.
healing support. I'm like, no. That's
There's
not
no,
the Overwatch I signed
there's
up for.
hardly any playmaking potential on that support. Like the play
that's fair.
is life gripping people away, and that's not offensive, which is like every other character or like most other supports have like offensive abilities, whereas like Life Weaver's a raw healer. So I think it would be a very sustained heavy meta, which would be very boring.
Yeah, yeah.
Moira's
Sustain
self-healing,
mitigation bad. That's my takeaway
Yes.
from 8 years of Overwatch. Sustain mitigation bad. Maximize damage output. People like dealing damage.
Yeah, and then
People
Moira
don't
gets a
like not
buff,
killing
which is-
people.
Bro,
Yeah.
this is gonna pub stomp the noobs. Moira not needing to aim with Bionic Grasp, and the self healing got increased. So have fun with that one.
Yep. Here we go.
Console gonna go crazy with this one.
Yep. All right. So again, like I look at these patch notes and I'm like, okay,
It was a
That was a
pretty
patch.
interesting patch.
what's patch?
Yeah, dude, I still don't like the Doom, but I'm not a fan of this patch personally. But hey, there you go.
I think
I
it's
wouldn't
all
have-
none of it is
yeah.
like very severe outside of the Doom and like Ana
The Kiriko
and,
one, I think,
and
is
maybe the
Kiriko one.
Kiriko. Those three. Like outside of that, I don't feel like any of it is like insanely severe. It's more so once again, like you talked about, Johnny. It's not. None of it's really insanely aggressive outside of Mayor Kiriko. Kiriko might be the most aggressive of them.
Yeah. I wouldn't have minded seeing some harder nerfs on Juno and then just kind of see like how the game settles after Juno is not perma-picked.
Yeah.
I think you already saw that. Junker Queen is obviously strong as well because of Rampage, right? You can kind of like counter Ray at some point as well, but I just think when you have a broken character in the game, like the best way to go about things is just like, okay, nerf that broken character and then just see how the other characters react and like where we stand. Because otherwise, yeah.
They definitely have a
solving the
different
problem.
philosophy with that, and like the philosophy is we're just gonna, and it has been for the last like, this is what we talk about Plat Chat all the fucking time. At least I talk about is like there's slow incremental nerfs and buffs. Like I'm just not that much of a fan. I'd rather you just kind of gut a character every now and then just kind of slowly introduce things. Because we've had the same thing with Orisa, and this is how Orisa becomes meta all the time, is that the character is like really good, and then they slowly nerf, and then everything else kind of creeps up, everybody gets level, and then they slowly buffer again, and then it's, we're in Orisa meta again. It just all leads back to Orisa. The Ouroboros, but Orisa.
Oh, okay. All right. Guys,
Yeah?
I have groceries showing up in 4 minutes at my door.
Bro's so rich he doesn't even.
Dude,
shop for his
he's got the
groceries.
servants
It's so
bringing out the
fucked up.
fucking
Yeah.
goddamn. He's got the
Lives in
housekeeper
his
also bringing out the
mansion. That's
groceries.
insane.
Holy shit.
I am
They'll even
willing-
put in his fridge.
I am willing to take that fight. I think getting groceries delivered is one of the most like valuable things for your time you can do. The time it takes to go to a grocery store and go shop and drive back versus paying $10 for it to be delivered. You can put that hour and a half to
I
use
disagree.
elsewhere.
I disagree very, very heavily.
Okay.
And
I don't have a great grocery store next to me. That's my excuse.
well, I think also depends on your situation. If you have like a really nightmare situation to go to a grocery store, I can at least see an argument.
I
but-
can't walk. I can't walk to a good grocery store.
Sure, I
anymore.
mean, but like also, it's not even about that degree. Like if you have like a 10-minute drive, I don't think that's a big deal either. So like, but like
Okay.
it depends on how close.
I'm
Depends on how
trying to
close.
get. I'm trying to get out of the escape.
It depends. It depends on the quality, and on top of that, I think I don't trust anyone else to pick out my produce.
Yeah.
I don't. I don't trust out people to pick out
Yes.
my produce.
Do I get moldy raspberry sometimes? I do.
I don't trust that. I like, and
That's-
also to me, it's an experience for both me
It
and
happens.
also both my girlfriend and I both like going to the grocery store and walking through the aisles and looking. At
I
stuff.
do like that.
So I find
But-
it, and also since we don't have third places in the United States anymore, there's only one place left to talk to people in the U.S. in our modern fucked up society, and that's the grocery store.
But
okay, it's the only place left.
when I wake up and I'm like, I wake up, I take my dog for a walk, I go to the gym, and then I stream all day. I'm like, the first thing at 6 p.m. is not like, oh, I want to go to the grocery store. I rather just want the groceries in my fridge.
6 p.m. How long's this walk, buddy?
No, I said after I finish streaming. So like dog walk, gym, and then
I see.
go to stream.
I do understand it to a degree, but it's wrong.
I'm not anti-grocery store because I like going there myself.
I love
But
going to Costco.
if it's a Tuesday and I don't have groceries in my fridge, yeah, I appreciate someone
Listen,
showing
I
up
can
with them.
respect. I had to do grocery delivery in Overwatch League in 2018 because I didn't have a car in Burbank. So I was the only Overwatch League player that cooked for themselves outside of like maybe 2 other people. So I had to do grocery delivery for a time, and I hated it because I feel like I lost all of my agency. And also, I like going to the grocery store.
Guys, the groceries are here.
Okay, let's end.
Okay, let's end the podcast.
Friends play of the week.
Is your grocer, whoever's delivering your groceries, Friends play of the week.
Tuba.
Done.
Holy hole-killing tuba.
Tuba.
Where is this from?
Tuba.
Why did this get 5,000 likes?
Dude, all the Overwatch
Oh my God,
stuff has
Hawk
been
Tuba.
popping
Jesus
up on Twitter.
Immaculate
Dude,
find.
I just
It's
fucking
crazy.
realized. Okay, I'm over
No,
it.
it took him a while. It took
me a while.
Yeah,
took me a
it
while.
did take you a little bit.
That's crazy.
Tuba
That's an
that goes
unbelievable
hard.
tweet.
It's
actually.
impressive that it took you a while.
Well, I had to say it out loud for it to make sense. I had to say Hawk Tuba out loud for it to make sense.
Tuba, everybody.
Okay. All right. Well, it's been a chill podcast. We'll do a Stockholm preview that'll be released next week before the World Finals, of course. So keep your eyes out for that. And then we'll see. We'll see what happens. Maybe we'll record a Stockholm episode to like conclude the year. I don't know.
Okay.
That would be good.
Yeah, we'll see.
Include the year. That'll be the last episode ever.
No,
Yep,
no,
that's it.
no,
Shut
no,
it
no,
down.
no, I'm saying the
Shut it
circuit. Because okay,
Oh.
so let me be clear.
Oh.
After the finals, I'm staying in Sweden for a week. So I think maybe we should just record it in person because otherwise I'll have to do it from my hotel room.
Person? Oh my god.
Well,
with
no,
a
my
laptop
ass
mic.
won't be there. My ass will not be there. So
Fly in.
Well,
fly.
will.
Oh, yeah. Let me make sure to use all my money I have to fly in. I also
Yeah,
I
do it in
can't
person,
because
that'd
I'm
be
going
fun.
home, so I can't do it.
All good. All
Be
right.
down.
Thank you guys for coming on for another episode of Plat Chat. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. We'll see you again next week to talk about esports, and that'll be glorious. So until then, take care. Enjoy Overwatch Classic, and we'll see you for episode 245. Bye. Thank you, Solomon, for producing, by the way.
Thank
Bye,
you,
everybody.
Solomon.
Thank you, Solomon.
Bye.